Why not? Go for it.
Right. Oh, Beata Maria, you know I am a righteous man. Of my virtue I am justly proud. Oi, 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 Beata Maria, you know that I'm much better than the common folk, a weak licentious crowd. Oi, 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 and tell me, Maria, why I see you bouncing there, why a smouldering I still scorch my soul. Oi, 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 I see her, I feel her, the sun colored in her raven hair is blazing in me out of all control. Oi, 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 you got more rabbit than Sainsbury's. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, the Fluffenhammer has returned. Roll the music!
What is best in life?
I recognise the lyrics, but I think you got the tune a little wrong.
No, that is part of my upcoming Chaz and Dave tribute album, where I take a load of songs that have no right being a Chaz and Dave song and turn them into
that
Chaz
song
and Dave
has
songs.
absolutely no fucking right. Being a Chaz and Dave song, I can tell you.
I've got a load of them. If you just think about various songs that shouldn't be done in a Chaz and Dave style. I mean, you've got like, come on Eileen, hey, you just gotta say, whoo hey! And then, of course, Metallica's classic Unforgiven. Oh, you label me, I'll label you, and I'll dump the Unforgiven. Oi, 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 oi. That old man, there is me, why, why?
I feel The Hunchback of Notre Dame would have been a very, 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 very different Disney film if it
Must be heaven's light.
Yeah. Can you imagine like being the voice director talking to Tony J, telling him to sing it like that?
I played King Lear, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Get
Someone
the
of his
fuck away from
gravitas,
me.
and also someone like who would have no context for who Chaz and Dave were at all.
I bet you Tony J has egged Chaz and Dave.
Oh man,
I'm telling you now. Right.
it's been a while, hasn't it? It's been a while. It's nice to hear the cold open again.
Oh, I'm gonna admit, I'm punchy. I'm punchy tonight, so this is gonna get strange, I think.
Bouncy, weird. Yeah, I got you're feeling a little bit of energy going on here.
Yeah, I do. I feel like, you know, when you go to a Weatherspoons in a strange town that you've never been to before.
Ever go to a Weatherspoons? What are you casting aspersions? I'd never darkened the doorway ever fucking Weatherspoons. Spit, cross yourself,
Okay.
throw the salt over the shoulder, etc.
I'll rephrase. You know, you go somewhere that has free coffee refills in a place you don't know.
Yes.
And you're waiting for someone, and they're running late. And you think to yourself, I could get a different drink, but I'll just got coffee refills. And you end up with 3 or 4 coffee refills, and then all of a sudden you're aware of your heart going like a hummingbird, and you can smell time. And you've got this like weird energy that's only in the top half of your body, just around the shoulders and into the hands. And you realise you're talking faster than you normally should. That's kind of where my head is at, and I haven't had any coffee, so...
I've had a lot today, but it's not that. It's not that. I think it's just the excitement of being back.
So, of course, I am Adam, your illustrious hand-holding host, taking you
Were you going to say
the...
lustrous then, as opposed to illustrious? Lustrous host. That's even better.
I'm just going to go with... I'm your host from Lustria.
Lustrous host. Yeah.
Lustria host?
Yes, the lost land of Lustria.
Even more lost now, of course, now that the world has exploded. God knows where it is now.
I just want to see like a holiday brochure and it says Lustria, where reptiles fuck. And it just...
Alright.
They do it in the right way. They're spawning pools, so they do it in a nice warm pool too. Good for them.
Yeah. Oh dear. It's reptile procreation though, isn't it? So it's like really joyless. It's just sort of like mechanical and technical and...
Hey, come on now. If you do it the right way, your sex can be joyless as well too.
No, it can't, Andy. It's never joyless. Never joyless.
Oh my god.
Mhm.
I suppose it depends if you're with a reptile or not. Yeah, I suppose
It does depend on the partner, I suppose. I mean,
Yeah.
like if it were with a reptile, then I'm sure it would be pretty joyless.
Hey, those Chuck Tingle books would prove otherwise, where he had sex with dinosaurs.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
He loves it.
Isn't it weird that you went to reptiles? Andy goes to Chuck Tingle. I start thinking about the royal family. So the two very different, divergent paths that went there.
But
And yet
related.
connected.
Yeah, I was going to say related. I could see the path of logic.
Chuck Tingle's latest blockbuster, fucked by the inevitable sense of the royal family's decay in viewing the UK. Yeah. I can see
Tingle could probably do quite an interesting, sexy, like royal family espionage, dinosaur,
Lizard
sex
people.
appeal. Yeah, you could do
Why
an
not?
interesting premise with that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting in and of itself, isn't it?
Much.
It's
What-
The
inherently.
royal family realize you're having sex with a dinosaur. You're like, well, all right, well.
Oh man, I just like
Every
the
family has their
idea.
boobs.
I just like the idea of taking like David Icke's Nibiru reptilian nonsense and making erotic fiction out of it. I think that's a brilliant idea.
I don't know if I've ever told you
He
guys
would not be
before,
happy.
but you've met James, Andy. George hasn't met James, but my mate
don't think
James
so.
wrote erotic fiction based on John Major. Right?
There's a challenge.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, the ambition of the writer, I applaud.
It was called The Hung Parliament, and to this day, that is the best thing. Nothing will ever come close to just the sheer genius of that.
Yeah,
That's great.
I mean, that is a challenge, isn't it? I mean, the words erotic and John Major they're not necessarily comfortable bedfellows, are they?
See, Edwina Curry liked a bit of Major, so
Stop it. Just stop it. The notion that any Tory has genitals at all just is an unpleasant one, quite frankly.
I'll sit behind the fact that John Major, I have a weird grudging respect for. A man that dull managed to get that far and had that many affairs.
I know. What is
Power is a hell of an aphrodisiac, you know?
what is going on there? I mean, I know it's horses for courses and people find different things attractive, but really, you couldn't do better than that. Then again, Johnson's had multiple affairs, hasn't he? And apparently is in like maybe 100 years' time, everyone in the world is basically going to be related to Boris Johnson.
Well, he's going to be the new Genghis Khan.
Yes, we're related to like Charlemagne and Genghis Khan and whatnot. Yeah. What a horrible thought. Ugh.
Yeah. See, as I say, I've actually got a fair bit of respect for Major. When it comes to the haunted scarecrow, however, nothing whatsoever. So let's get joyous. Do you want to get joyous? Oh, actually, yes. This is George, and over there's Andy.
Hi,
Hello.
how you doing?
I keep getting told off because I never do an introduction. And I always try, but then we get talking.
It's a motif.
And then we're 7 levels deep, and it's too late.
It's a shtick. It's a motif. It's what we do. You can't tell us off for it.
We just roll, right, people? We don't have a script, and if we did have a script, I'd have eaten it. So we just roll. We just keep going. Where else are you going to hear about John Major erotic fiction and everything else we've already talked about in the last 10 minutes? So,
I was going to say, which is pretty much everything under the sun, isn't it? It's been like an encyclopedia.
Unfortunately, you probably hear it all on Reddit and
yeah, if you go on Reddit, r/stroke dinosaur sex fun. No, hang on.
Yeah, Rule 34, John Major. There you go.
No.
If Jim's on there, he'll get.
Of course,
he'll
I mean,
get
Rule 34. There's everything. Literally everything. So there's got to be like Tory Party Rule 34 somewhere out there.
All right,
There's
then.
got to be, and there's got to be people who enjoy it. I mean, I don't ever want to meet them, but
Who would you rather see have a sex face? John Major or Gordon Brown?
Gordon Brown.
Gordon Brown, yeah, what a
Million
manly Chad.
times. I mean, if that's the choice, then Gordon Brown.
Like a giant sex bear.
I mean, at the very least, he does look like a human being.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit Jabba the Hutt-y.
He does. I mean, he's still a politician, so he still has like that not sort of like something that's pretending to be human but isn't quite getting their thing going on. But he's being a bit more successful than John Major is, I feel. In that regard. I mean, John Major looks a bit like... He's one of those Tories who looks like he's haunting something.
Or being haunted by something. In this case...
Or haunted by something, yeah.
He's being haunted by Jacob Rees-Mogg. As all people who must... Yeah, as all people must be.
I think we all are at the moment, you know.
It's what happens when you curse a Toby Jug.
Yeah.
It's what happens when you get a cursed Toby Jug. You get Jacob Rees-Mogg.
It's what happens when a pencil needs an exorcist.
It's what happens when somebody doesn't realise Oliver Twist has a bad ending. Anyhow, moving on.
Anyway, yes. That's enough of Tories and porn for now. There's your episode title.
How did you know the name of my Chaz and Dave tribute album? Oh, you're gonna wish that you'd never been born, cause it's hey, Tories and porn. Right. Fucking Jesus Christ.
This is, by the way, guys, this is a Games Workshop podcast. We talk about Warhammer and stuff, apparently.
No, we have said in the past that Warhammer is just the gateway drug for us to spring out into conversations about anything.
It's
I
true,
didn't
but
expect
to be
us...
fair, we haven't even started with Warhammer yet. It hasn't been a springboard. We've just devolved into the mire.
We've just belly flopped off the highest springboard into just mud. Into just filth and mud.
Yeah. As ironically, a lot of people in the UK are doing at the moment, It seems to be happening, doesn't it? Anyway.
Nothing like swimming and drinking your own shit.
No, nothing like it.
Moving on.
Anyway.
My fellows. We're going to start with Andy here. Andy. First of all, if you'd like to just get inside this giant wicker man, don't worry. You'll be warm in a minute.
Oh, thank God.
What have you done over the last 3 months? Because it has been nearly 3 months since we actually sat down and recorded.
Wow, really? Oh, God.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah. Well, we kept trying to get 100 done, and then I was ill, and you were ill, and then I was ill again, and it just didn't happen. And then Andy disappeared. We had to send people...
I had my podcast. My podcast is the same day every day for like 15 years.
No, I didn't mean that. I mean when you actually disappeared. I was concerned.
Oh, yeah, when my computer decided to explode. Yeah, when my computer decided to completely die. Yeah. That was fun. And expensive.
Has Base 2 really been going 15 years?
Something like that, yeah.
Wow. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. We started up not too soon after the first Transformers movie.
Mm-hmm. That is old guard podcast stuff, isn't it? That is like the hinter days of podcastery.
Sweet
Wow.
Jesus.
You'll be surprised how many times I hear people say, "Oh, Moonbase 2 is still going on," and it hurts every time.
I love it.
Did WTF start just before or just after you?
Who, sorry?
WTF.
Oh, they started after us, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not too long after. They did start after.
So does that mean then that you actually own the Guinness Book World Record of longest Transformers podcast?
I don't know, because there was Radio Free Cybertron, which I think was... I don't know if they were still going on while... Because I think they started before us. They did have a break.
They took a 6-year break, though.
Yeah, I don't know. Well,
So
we've been doing it for a while.
I'm talking continuous, because I don't think anyone comes close to you then.
I mean, 15 years is great for any podcast, isn't it? It's amazing, that is.
Yeah.
Because you've only ever really missed...
Nothing to do.
You've only ever really missed, Christmas weeks, haven't you? Yeah.
Yeah, I like to try and keep consistently an episode coming out every week. Sometimes, something happens, but for the most part, I mean, we're up to not including special episodes or comic episodes or Patreon episodes. We're on episode 708 as of today. That went up.
Oh, that's amazing! Wow, that's brilliant.
That is legitimately amazing. That's
a body of work. That is bloody hell.
Unfortunately, all 708 episodes are not all up, as some of them vanished over the years. From people not having the files or just losing them.
Oh,
Or like
right.
transferring them over, because I can't remember who we were with before Libsyn, but then we went to Libsyn, and I think we lost a
I
load there.
see.
We
Oh,
don't have I don't think we have we might have the very first podcast, but there's definitely like, if you go back through the back catalogue, there's a big gaps.
Yeah.
Or there are
yeah.
gaps at least. But there's still a lot on
Even
there.
so, it's still pretty impressive, isn't it?
Yeah. You're not going to get through all the Moonbase 2 in one day, that's for sure.
No, you're not.
If you've got a week trip across America, you've definitely got a few years worth of content there.
I'm actually tempted to go back to as far back as you can get, just to listen to some of those early ones.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
amazing because culture has changed. Like
Yeah.
things have changed significantly over that period. So it's a
You'll
different
hear young,
world.
shy, youthful Andy who still had hope. What a strange time.
Wow, so strange.
Weird.
Yeah. Sorry. So what have you been up to? Have you been hobbying much? Have you been partying much? Have you been there sharpening the spears of destiny, ready to be plunged into the heart of fate?
Well, like we said, because my computer blew up at one point, I was out of commission for at least, I think, a total of like 2 weeks. It was a week, and then another week I was completely out. So that was a big chunk of time of just having nothing to do while playing Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, right.
Which is fine. I don't think the story is as good as everybody made it out to be. It just feels like a very old school Japanese samurai movie, but without anything desperately interesting to it. And it plays like an Assassin's Creed. So if you like them, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, pretty game too. Looks nice.
It's very pretty. It is pretty, and I like the general mood of the game, just galloping around the world. But in terms of an actual story, it's very basic.
It's very sort of standard. You know what? If you know this stuff, you know what it's going to be, basically.
Pretty much. It's fine though.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a nice game.
I was just surprised how much it was being praised and whatnot.
Yes.
A lot of people were like, "Oh, it's the next big game," and I played it. I was like, "It's not Elden Ring."
I think it's a nice game, isn't it? It's fun, it's functional, and it's really gorgeous. But I don't think it does anything that special myself.
No. If you compare it to things like what's the one with the lady with the bow who shoots the big robot dinosaurs?
Oh,
that one. Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yes, the Horizon games. They're so lovely.
In terms of gameplay, they're similar. They're the same format. So if you like the aesthetic of that game, go for that game. If you like the aesthetic of ancient Japan and the feudal lords, go for that one.
That's exactly it.
Otherwise, at least from my understanding, they're pretty much the same game. So
very similar. Yeah.
Very similar. Yeah. So I've been doing that. Been doing a few of the bits. I've been very, very slowly painting up my group of 10 rubric Thousand Suns, which has been
lovely.
Years. So pretty.
They're lovely. I love the fact you've gone for the old Prosperine color scheme that looks so good on them.
Yeah, I had originally, I've got another set of 10, which I did in different colors of blue, because I was thinking if I have them all in different colors of blue, they're unique and they could be used for a kill team. And then I looked at them all and went, I hate this. I don't want to do this anymore. And I always, Prospero Burns is one of the first Horus Heresy books I listened to, and I was like, I really like this book. It's got really interesting characters. Yeah. And I think the combination of red and gold just works really well. I just like it, and I think it works nicely for the Thousand Suns.
And it does work very well for the present day Thousand Suns, doesn't it? Like the Rubricae and the, your sorcerers and whatnot. It just looks good on them. It looks really, really wonderful.
Yeah, I agree. And I was like, oh, yeah, well, everybody usually does blue. I don't have anything red in my current, completed stuff. So I went, oh, well, red will do. That'll look nice. And it seems to have turned out okay. It just, as you know, if anybody has chaos figures or miniatures, everybody knows it's a effort to paint it all, because you've got the gold trim, and with the Thousand Suns they have an especially large amount of gold trim.
They've got a lot of little details, don't they? Like little tiny, really fiddly details, like chevrons and things.
The stupid stripes on their hats.
Yes, those stripes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
man. You know what's disappointing when you watch a YouTube video and someone's going, all you have to do is just do a small line to highlight them as well. I'm like, oh, go away. Shush. Stop talking. I can't do that. I can barely get the line in. You want me to do an even smaller line? Come on now.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. And then you get the sorcerers, and they're even more elaborate. They've got all sorts going on all over them.
Yeah, I've started working on because I'm very sporadic with my painting. I slap some paint on one and I go, I don't want to paint that one anymore, and then I pick
Yeah.
up another one and slap a bit more paint. So I've got like 2 of the Exalted Sorceress.
Which are lovely miniatures,
They're,
aren't
they're really good, yeah. And I've started painting up bits of them, and
Mhm.
yeah, like you say, they are more complicated. Like one has like 3 blue or pink horror arms and
Yeah.
multiple arms coming out of one arm holding a stick, and it's like, okay, well, I got to pick out those and then
hmm
color them all nice and bright and whatnot.
They've got all like fetishes and icons all over them as
Yeah.
well, and like books and magical
Yeah.
achievements, stuff that you'd expect a wizard to have, you know?
Yeah, and I was trying to think of like, should I do anything like extra weird with the color scheme? And by the end, I just went, no, I'll just make them red and gold, and then maybe do a bit of, if I can, do something to make them pop a little bit more. But at one point, I was thinking maybe I do them like pinks and oranges and purple, so they're still similar-ish
Mhm.
to the red. But then, like I said, it just went, I'll just paint them
Nah,
red.
yeah.
Keep it
Yeah.
consistent.
Gives them a bit of coherency, doesn't it? You know,
That's
tie it
right,
all
yeah.
together.
Yeah,
But I do
I was.
love those minis. I mean, have you seen them on the battlefield as well? The Exalted Sorcerers.
I mean, I don't generally look at the rules because I never get to play the game,
Yeah,
so it's just like,
they're good. They're good. They're very nice sorcerers. They are.
Mm.
Basically, what they are is combinations of sorcerers and chaos lords.
That's
So
pretty
they've got
powerful.
all the good stuff of a chaos lord and all the good stuff of a chaos sorcerer. Plus, they zip around on discs, so they are really, really nasty.
So the Chaos Sorcerer and Terminator armor, which is usually the leader of a band, must be
Mm.
really good then.
He's actually not in. I mean, he is good. He's really good, but he's actually a thrall in the Thousand Suns. He's not.
Oh,
a
really?
leader.
Oh.
Yeah, he's not a leader. He's a thrall sorcerer. You've got to like enslave him to one of your exalteds. The exalteds
Really?
are the thing. You know,
Ah.
they are.
I
the
guess that
thing.
makes sense. Yeah, you can't really have a Chaos Lord because it's all about sorcerers, I guess.
Exactly
That's
that.
fair. Yeah.
Because you've got a cabal going on. You know,
Mm-mm.
very nice.
Apart from that, I haven't really done too much hobbying. A lot of my time I've spent away not touching any paints, but it's just kind of been recently. Every now I'll go and quickly dab a bit of paint on here and then slap it on. I need to get more super glue as well because I do my bases separately, and I put on like acrylic, and obviously you can't use the plastic glue to stick them on.
No.
So I need to get like new super glue. As I'm sure everybody knows, when you have super glue and you've had it for a bit of time, it always gums up the top where the glue comes out, and then it's basically worthless. So it's done that to me. So I can't use it anymore.
Over time, you just snip further and further down until eventually the glue gets all over your hands and you're stuck.
Yeah.
I think the problem is like the last time I used the glue, when it actually was still persuaded to come out of the thing, it wasn't a gluey substance. It was more like it turned more solid.
Yeah, like
in a lot of ways. So it was still, it was like almost think of like stringy spider web. It was more like that. So I was like, okay, it is dying very, very quickly at this point.
You can use that though. I mean, a lot of people use it. Like Nurgle players use it. They string it between like the fingers of their Terminators or something to make slime and pus and filth and stuff like that. And Khorne players use it to make blood, obviously. You know.
Yeah. It's a good use for
it. Players use it for no. We were not going to go there.
For sticking
were
potential lovers to themselves.
That yes.
Spider-Man.
So you can give yourself a reach around when you're a multi-person entity.
I'm sure there's a chaos reward for that.
Probably. There must be.
I think if you manage to get to do that, not only do you get a chaos reward, you get 30 seconds in the Crystal Dome. It's impressive.
Ooh.
But
no, that's the only thing I'm gonna like do probably tonight or tomorrow is I'm gonna pick up the what's the fancy name for it? Champions of Chaos DLC pack for Total War Warhammer 3.
Oh yeah.
Do we want to talk about that now or talk about that later? Because I know that mentioning these 4 heroes will probably tempt you.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in actually, no, let's hit it now. Come on, Andy. There's no rules here. There's just us.
All right.
Garden of Chaos. Hit me. Hit me with your DLC. Hit me.
Well,
hit me fast and hit me 3. Hit me.
Well, 10,000 years ago, when the original Total War Warhammer game came out, the first DLC pack on day 1 was the Warriors of Chaos, and it was shit. and it was too expensive, and it was super disappointing. And the Chaos Warriors have been in a really crappy place for game 1, game 2, and basically until tomorrow, where this pack comes out and it reworks the army, it makes them viable, usable, and fun to play, and it gives them a bit more personality. So the Champions of Chaos will add 4 new legendary lords. Shockingly, you might be surprised, each of them dedicated to one of the gods. So Tzeentch has Vilch, the Curse
Village, the Curse Village. Oh,
yeah.
he's cute. I like him.
Slaanesh has. Who do you think Slaanesh would have? We'll make you guess.
Oh, okay.
Who's the biggest boy?
Would it be? It's not Azazel, is it?
It is Azazel.
Is it Azazel? Oh my God, that's a throwback and a half.
The man with the shittest name before he became a demon.
Yeah.
What was it? What was his name before he became a demon? Like Gareth or something.
It was something like he's from the Geryon tribe, isn't he? It's something like Jerry. I'll just call him Jerry.
It was Sigmar's best mate or something.
That's right, and he betrayed him, didn't he?
And he killed his sister, and he had a good old time.
Something like that. Yeah, something going on like that. But Azazel hasn't been around for in the Warhammer game for years and years and years. Which is a shame, he's really cool.
Yeah, he looks great. And yeah, he's the obvious and good choice to put for Slaanesh. For Nurgle, who would you pick for Nurgle?
Kugath?
No, Kugath's in. Kugath's a demon as well. This is a human kind of
only the mortals. It's not. It wouldn't be Valnir the Reaper. No way.
It's not Valnir.
No. Festus the Leech Lord?
It is Festus the Leech Lord.
Hey, I like him too. He's a lot of fun.
The doctor with a lot of gout.
Yeah, with a have you seen that foot of his? It's not just gout, it's like elephantitis and all sorts of stuff going on down there.
Yeah, oddly enough, the model they made for him in-game looks very similar to, strangely enough, the Goblin King from The Hobbit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it kind of fits.
Because he has the big gout going under his jaw.
Has he got the goiter coming off his... Oh, brilliant.
He's also got a big pot on his back that has a blue nurgling to help him.
Yeah, just like the miniature. That's grand.
Yeah, so he's coming out. Who do you think is the... I mean, I don't think this one's too hard to figure out for Khorne.
It's the loss, isn't it? Whose name?
Who is it? Is it a mortal? It's a mortal.
It's immortal. Yes. No, I think it's immortal.
It wouldn't...
We were immortal at one point.
Yeah.
As they all were, I suppose.
Of course. Yeah. It's not Skarbrand then. It's not.
Skarbrand's already in the game.
He's already in it. It's not. Yeah. The warrior queen of Khorne. What's her name?
What is the name?
That's the one I was thinking of, and I can't remember her name. It'd be into the V.
Something the Bloody.
Valkyria. Her name is
Valkyria the Bloody.
Yeah, that's the one.
Valkyria the Bloody is the champion for Khorne, the leader.
Yeah, she's a very prominent Khorne character, so that does make sense.
And she's very cool. You know, she looks great. So all of these characters have been added. They're all coming in tomorrow. Obviously, each of the factions, even though the Warriors of Chaos, they'll have slight different stats because you'll have dedicated units of warriors for like Nurgle, Tzeentch, and Slaanesh and all that stuff. Not massively different from each other, but little tweaks to the stats and whatnot. And they all apparently this is what the Warriors of Chaos have needed. So it looks like it's going to be a very strong DLC.
Excellent.
Also tomorrow coming out for the game is the free Immortal Empires campaign, which combines the map of the first game, the second game, and the third game to pretty much give you the entire world of Warhammer, the old world to work from.
Yeah.
So
it's massive.
All of Malice. Yeah.
Yeah. It's huge.
Wow. Amazing stuff.
Yeah, so it's a pretty decent DLC seemingly, and it looks pretty fun.
One of those DLCs that kind of changes the topography of a game, yeah?
Yeah, because it makes a faction who was crap before actually entertaining.
Actually fun to play.
Yeah, I'm not sure how... I think there are changes across a lot of different races, and obviously, like, Archaon's getting some changes as well to him, again, to make him more playable than he was previously.
Set in the fantasy battle world, so is the version of Archaon you get the one where he's on the horse version of Dorghar?
You get him, you know, when he starts off, because you level up as you go. You start off without the horse, and then you get him as he goes on, and then you can like do special quests to get the Crown of Domination and his other weapons.
And the other form of Dorghar, the thing that doesn't have a name, the whatever it is, the dragon.
I think You
Yes,
just have the horse. I don't think
just
he
the
gets
horse,
anything else. Yeah, because I think
that makes sense.
that's the classic image of Archaon, him on
Yeah.
the horse.
Yeah, I do like that, the miniature, not the original one, because the original one is terrible, but the one from around, like, I think it's from around 7th or 8th Ed Fantasy Battle. That's a lovely miniature, that is, where he's on the horse, he's got the cape sweeping out, and
Yeah,
so pretty, so
yeah. When they painted that one up, or was it even sculpted in? Did it have the runes sculpted into the mask?
I don't think it did. I don't think it
Okay.
did that one,
No, it
no.
didn't. It didn't.
That's something obviously they can do without too much faff in the game. So his mask has all these very tiny, intricate runes that glow like
Oh,
orange with his orange eyes
no.
as well, which look
It
pretty
was
neat.
the head sculpt for that miniature is actually kind of basic, isn't it? It's got it is just like a Chaos Warrior's helmet with the eye of Shirian in the forehead.
pretty much, yeah.
There's a kind of like no nonsense quality about it, isn't there?
Well, that's just Archaon up until Age of Sigmar, isn't it? There was a no
Up
nonsense.
until Age of Sigmar, because he's very much a lot of nonsense now.
Oh, he's so much nonsense.
He's all nonsense now. I mean, don't get me wrong, I really like that miniature, but it is a lot of nonsense. Yeah, oh yeah, that looks like the miniature pretty much.
Yeah, that's kind of what the entire Total War games have been. It's like, can we replicate the miniature to look nice?
Yeah, very
And
nice.
for the most part, they have. They've added in the Chaos War Shrine as well, which looks pretty fun.
Yes.
The only disappointment I've heard from reviews is people are disappointed that there is not like the big unit that's been added, and people said it would be nice if we had the Vortex, Mutalisk, and what was the other one I heard? The Slaughter
Beast. Yeah.
the Slaughter Beast. People said it would have been nice to see those added in, but as a this fixes a lot of issues that they had. It's worth it on that aspect alone.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. That's good
Yeah.
to hear. I like to, it's always nice when Chaos gets a bit of a buff when it's being treated badly, which is it's a pattern, isn't it? It's a pattern.
It makes sense for this because Game 3 is, its tagline is something like "Face your demons" or something like that, and it's like it was adding the North basically, so Cathay and which is the East, and more importantly Kislev, both factions of Kislev, and
so
kind
like
of sorting all that
troll
stuff out.
wastes and all of that, like the far north.
Yeah, not too much. There's only one troll thing, and it's
The king troll.
the king. Yeah, he's kind of Warriors of Chaos, so they didn't really worry too much about that. But
he
like
would have been, of course, he would have been part of that faction back then.
Yeah, no, it was all four of the demons factions. It was Cathay, it was Kislev, and it was the Ogre tribes as well.
Oh, the Ogre tribes, right.
You've got Goldtooth and you got Slag the Slaughterer.
I don't even remember that one. I do remember the big king character, but that is it.
Slag's the one who drags the big pot behind him, who has the big meat cleavers for arms.
Oh Jesus, I can't even remember that.
It's weird actually. The ogres and the ogres as well. They just vanish in my brain.
They kind of went away, didn't they? In the wake of the Sons of Behemat, they just sort of like.
Well, they were there at the launch, and they've just always kind of been there in the background.
Yeah,
it's weird. I don't like the model range very much. The lore for them is all right. It's now that really grabs me, and then they're just there.
They've definitely kind of faded away in recent years. I do wonder if they will even get like a 3.0 book.
They might not, they might get something for the old world if they ever get on to doing anything for them, I guess.
Yeah, but I have sincere doubts because I just don't think they're popular enough. They don't have even some of the less popular armies, like the Seraphon, for example, have a following.
Mm-hmm.
They have a following. The Ogre tribes, not so much.
You don't see many people playing them. Like you don't see many people talking.
You really don't, and you don't see many people collect them. Even if you go onto like forums and whatnot, and you look at because I really like army blogs where people put together projects and whatnot. I love to see those. Like, people put their miniatures together and do conversions and whatnot. I don't think I've ever seen an Ogre tribes one.
No.
For me, from my perspective, I see ogres as like a mercenary group and are nice to add to things, but otherwise, in my eyes, they're just really big fat men, you know. And
I know
some people really like really big fat men, but
Oh,
I'd
don't get
rather
me
have
wrong,
them without any skin.
there are certain days of the week when I really like a big fat man, but yeah, I know exactly what you mean. There's a lack of aesthetic to the army, isn't there? There is a
What do you
lack.
want? Do you want a troll or do you want an ogre? It's like the
Yeah.
troll with the big silly ears and the big nose
Mhm.
and the blue and the scaly. It's like I like them. It's
But
for a big
the
fat man.
ogres have got
So,
an aesthetic. It's Mongolian. And that's
Yes,
all it is.
yeah,
It's
big fat
Mongolian.
Mongolian.
Yeah.
But it's
Big
like
fat.
it's very muted, isn't it? There's
Hmm.
something that it doesn't like. It's like Andy was
Hmm.
saying. It doesn't leap out when you put it against the other armies that are out there.
What's interesting is when you start thinking about the ogres in Age of Sigmar, I don't go to the army. The first place my head goes is to that one that was in Cursed City.
Yeah,
That's the one that pops into my head.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
it had like a load of personality to it. And I
Yeah.
think that the problem is that against everything else, even the stuff that got ported over from the end of Fantasy Battle, it just looks really static and generic and doesn't have a sense of momentum to it. Whilst
no,
you look at like the Skaven, for example, the Skaven stuff that got ported over. I don't like the clan rats that you get nowadays. It's just one of those things. Just don't like them. But there's a sense of movement to them. The ogres are all just standing there, like they look like He-Man figures. You know,
I think they also had a difficulty placing these guys. I mean, they're nominally part of destruction, aren't they? Which
Yeah.
you can sort of see why they would do that, but they haven't had like that. You know, that Age of Sigmar push that a lot of armies have had.
Well,
that have,
the law for the ogres is that they're constantly moving. They're constantly escaping the Great Maw, this Everwinter that follows them. That's kind of it. That you've got that, and the fact that they're always hungry and they're always eating. And that's literally everything you've got for them. When you think about some of the other races that have been redesigned for AOS, the Bone Splitters. That's a really good way to go. The Bone Splitters have taken the feral orc idea and made it into. Sometimes the war becomes so strong that you take off all your clothes and go and fight a giant beast.
as you do.
Because that's what happens. Or you might get a bang on the head and you suddenly hear the sounds of bones in animals and you have to go and eat those bones because that's how you're going to get the power of the animal. And, or stuff like that, The Bone Splitters have got so much character to them considering they are just a generic, not generic, but a one-to-one port of what they had. But they've just got this wonderful lore around them and they can fit into any Auric army. The ogres don't have that. They just have, here are the ogres, and here's the winter stuff. It's like the problem that the Seraphon had at the very beginning. They ported everything over, but didn't have enough lore to make it work. And so they ended up having this weird disconnect. Now they've done stuff with Seraphon, and they work a lot better in my eyes. But the ogres just don't have that. They don't have anything to really push them for me.
That's what they need, isn't it? They need something that makes them fit a little bit better in the AOS landscape.
Yeah, to glow up.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. And I think the best way of doing that is that they all get exterminated by giant-hatted dwarfs.
I mean, I like Andy's idea. I think they should maybe go back to their roots where the ogres are not an army, but like things that you can add to an army.
Absolutely.
Yeah, get them as a supplemental and have them work with specific, maybe outlaws like specific factions, but otherwise they can work with order. They can work with destruction. Probably
chaos.
not going to work with death unless it's the what the ogres that look like feral beasts. Do you know the ones I mean? I've got an image of them, but I can't remember what they're called. They're grey skinned usually. They've got big claws and all that jazz.
I don't know. I can't remember.
Oh, the Yetis.
They're not Yetis. They're these guys, but I can't remember what they're called in the game.
Y-H-E-T-I. Yeah. Hey, Yeti.
Ravagers or...
Oh, right. Those are cool. But
these guys. Whatever these guys are, they kind of look like you could put them with Ghoul Kings or something like that. So you could
flesh eaters. I could see them going with that.
But
Chaos is an obvious one. I mean, the ogres used to be a chaos thing once upon a time.
Yeah. So I think doing them that way as more of a army placement filler. Because it'd be good for goblins, because you could just shove these in as your frontliners, so your line smashers, right? Because the
Yeah.
goblins generally don't have like the infantry to do that. They need to use other things. So this would be
Yeah.
kind of a good way to get that
Yeah, to
potentially.
fill that gap. Yeah.
Yeah. And they've also got like big artillery for the most part, so you could have all monstrous cavalry.
I mean, the Earthshaker cannon is an insane thing. Was it Sky God or something like that? I can't quite remember, but there's one of the cannons you can take, a special cannon, and it is monstrously powerful.
Yeah.
Crazy, crazy.
Mind you, any ordnance in AOS is special, isn't it? It's got more than Fantasy Battle used to have, but anything like that, like a cannon, is very special, isn't it? Because it's so rare.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's because we don't have the Empire anymore.
Yeah, that's
without
right.
the Empire,
It's
like
gone,
they
isn't
were
it?
the cannon guys. Them and the dwarves.
They were, and the dwarves, obviously, but they're kind of gone, you know.
So, George, shall we
Although it does,
should we move on to you, sir, and just say what
yeah,
have you been up to?
I mean, I haven't been doing much in the way of like miniature-based hobby. I've painted up a few more of my exalted sorcerers for my Thousand Sons. They're getting done. They're getting there. Finished Fabius Bile. Finished Fabulous Bill. He's lovely. My cat destroyed his little helper.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Yeah, so I've got to do a little replacement helper at some point.
Is it not one of those things where you can kind of put him there and have him as like a horrible mutilated creature that Fabius has just brought back to life?
I suppose I could do that, but I can't find him. Rufus got up on the desk where they were, and she shifted, and the miniature went flying off its base, and I have yet to locate it.
Oh no!
So Fabius is fine. Fabius is okay. It's just this little helper that's gone. So I will find it, or I will make a replacement. I'll cobble something together and put it on the same base, you know. Beyond that, I've been regathering together because, of course, the new Chaos Space Marines Codex came out, which is fabulous, by the way. I've been regathering together my old Slanesh miniatures. My old, what did I call them way back in the day? They're called the Severed. They're called the Severed. They are a Slanesh Chaos Space Marines army that are so ridiculously converted and mutated that it's kind of difficult to tell they are Chaos Space Marines a lot of the time.
Oh, okay.
Like really, really crazy stuff. So I'm gonna start painting them up for the new Chaos Space Marines Codex as an Emperor's Children army, because they do good in the new Codex. I can tell you. Have you seen it, Andy? Have you actually read the new Chaos Space Marine Codex?
No, I haven't picked up a codex for a while. The only thing I know is the demon one out now, or is it coming out?
The demon one is up for pre-order next Saturday, I think.
Oh, so it'll be not next week, but it'll be the week after. So it'll be like,
that's right. I mean, I'll be well in there. Obviously, I'm going to be like ordering that definitely.
Like the 10th, I guess, right? Something like that.
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, it's one of it's going to be one of the last codices for Ninth Ed, isn't it? I mean, there aren't many to do. There's the Astra Militaria. There's obviously the leagues are on their way. But it's.
Am I mistaken? Is it a dual purpose codex for AOS, or is it just for 40k?
This is just for 40k, and
okay.
by all accounts, I mean, it hasn't. I don't think it's been confirmed by GW yet, but the one of the most pervasive rumors is that you can take 25% of, like, for example, if you've got 1,000 Suns force, you can take 25% of your points of Zeech demons. If you've got a Death Guard force, you can take 25% of your points as Nurgle demons, and so on and so forth.
Oh, nice.
Which is really lovely, right? You can actually you can have a sort of dual, as of course they were always going to do that, because that's the way these armies work, you know.
Sure,
you can't really have 1,000 Suns army without Zeech demons. They've always had, as an option, you know, they've always had Zeech demons with them. That's how they bolster their forces. Same with the Death Guard, right? Doesn't make a lot of sense for a Death Guard army not to have the option for Nurgle demons to be with them. So that's how they've done it. That's how they've integrated it, which is very, very nice indeed. Beyond that, I've been doing a lot of reading. I'm currently reading the the Primarch series.
Mm-hmm.
I'm currently reading Alfarius.
How far through are the Primarchs are we at this point then for the books?
How many are? I mean, how many have come out? You know what? There's quite a few of them out there now. I think we're nearly done.
Oh.
Almost all of the Chaos, like the Traitor Primarchs, have been done. Almost all of them. And most of them are excellent. I mean, they're really, really good. The one I'm reading at the moment, Alfarius, I will say this now, guys, spoilers, like massive, massive spoilers, and not just for this book, but for the lore of 40k, because this
Right.
book actually changes quite a lot.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something like Horus betrays the Emperor. I was going to be like, oh, we know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the big spoiler. That's the big spoiler.
Big spoiler.
No, I
I
mean,
am Alfarius.
I am
Oh my
Alfarius.
God.
Yes, that is the spoiler. No, this changes things massively. I mean, have you ever wondered why they're called the Alpha Legion?
Because they were the
And
first.
when they,
No, but
when
that's
they
it.
were the last
Why?
Legion found, but they're called the Alpha Legion
Huh? Why? Why?
because they weren't.
Dum dum dum.
They were the first Legion found.
Oh.
They were the very first. Alfarius was found on the Emperor's doorstep. Like in the Sol system, he was the first Primarch to be rediscovered.
Oh, that's
And
concerning.
that's a big change in the lore, right? Because it was originally Horus, yeah? But the reason it's generally believed it was Horus is because the Emperor and Malcador, who are the only people who knew that Alfarius even existed at this point, basically cultivated Alfarius to be the Emperor's secret weapon. His
Wow.
secret instrument amongst not only the other legions, but also every administration of the Imperium. Alfarius has been in the thick of it from the very beginning.
Wow.
Almost everything the Great Crusade ever did, Alfarius was there.
It just
And
sounds.
his legion was there.
The more I hear about the Alpha Legion, the more I think, are we sure that Zinch doesn't love the Alpha Legion as well as the
I
Thousand
think he
Suns?
might. I think he might. Like, one of the weirder things is Alfarius was present at some of the greatest victories of the other legions, often posing as just a rank and file soldier of one of those other legions.
Was he on Ulanor as Alfarius, or was he on
He was on
Ulanor as
Alinor, but
someone
not
else?
as Alfarius.
Oh,
Not
okay.
as Alfarius. He's present almost everywhere. It's incredible, this book. It really changes an awful amount. And a lot of the victories that are attributed to, like, the more decorous Primarchs like Robert Gilman and Horus and Fulgrim. Fuck that. No, it was Alfarius that laid the groundwork. Alfarius was there at the beginning, working with subterfuge and guerrilla tactics to destabilize systems, to make it seem like their brother legions won a great victory that could be told as a myth or a legend. It's pretty damn incredible, to be honest. It's a really good book, and it upsets an awful amount. I quite like it. I quite like it a lot. And this inversion as well, where, well, they're called the Alpha Legion. I mean, like, and he's called Alfarius. It's like, yeah, why would he be called that if he wasn't the first one? Doesn't make sense, I mean, so this sets that right, basically. And it's a
Does
very,
that mean that we have to
very
start calling it the Secundus heresy?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's quite incredible. It's a very good book, and he's also, as a character, he's really interesting. He is one of the most sane Primarchs, and not only that, he is one of the cleverest. He sees all of the others because he's been intimately engaged with all of them, as as their advisors, and he's been in their closest circles before, posing as one of their legion. He knows them inside out. He knows their flaws, he knows their weaknesses, he knows their neuroses, and in this book he goes through it. He lists them, like he goes through all the Primarchs. He says, okay, Angron, he's a nutcase. Fulgrim, bit of an ego on him, Perturabo, miserable bastard, good at sieges, but miserable bastard. He goes through them all and lists their flaws. It's like it's incredible, this book.
2 questions. One, who wrote it, and
The guy who wrote it, it's the guy who, hang on, let me just have a look because I've got it on my Kindle here. It's the guy who wrote the Huron Blackheart book, I believe.
I haven't heard that one, so I don't know. I
good.
think I remember you saying it was good. It was a good book.
It's good. Here we are. It's Mike Brooks. Mike Brooks wrote Alfarius.
Yeah. Okay.
He's a workhorse writer.
Yes,
Solid.
very much so.
Very solid.
Yeah. That's it. That's it. And this has got a similar quality about it. It's not showy in any particular way, like in terms of its prose or anything, but it's very workmanlike and it does the job. The showiness comes from its ideas and the scope of it because it changes so much of the established lore.
Oh,
And
I remember the second question. Are the Cabal in this, or
I
anything to do with the
haven't.
Cabal?
I think it's too early for the Cabal. The Cabal don't
Ah,
come in until much later. This is like really early on,
okay, all right.
really early on.
Yeah,
Like
I
nobody.
wasn't sure when the Cabal were meant to be introduced or even hinted at for Alfaris because they're meant to be intertwined for a while, right?
Yeah, it's not until because at this point the Alpha Legion technically don't even exist, although they do. Nobody knows they exist.
Hmm.
They're just operating behind the scenes, and often as part of other legions, they're ensconced within other legions. The Cabal come about when they are an established legion and they're working as the Alpha Legion with all their panoply, and Alfarius has announced himself. Although people don't know that Omegon exists, the brother Primarch, the twin.
Does
To
Alfarius know about Omegon?
At this point, no.
Oh,
Interesting.
okay.
Oh,
Part of
wow.
this story is him discovering Omegon and realizing that they're twins.
Does Omegon get
It's
explained at all in this?
possibly, don't know.
Okay.
No, I haven't got there yet. But thus far, this is a great book. I've got to say, I'm really impressed with this one. I'm impressed with its scope and with the fact that it's willing to actually change quite a lot of the established lore. I mean,
That's really
Horus wasn't
cool.
he wasn't the first Primarch discovered by the Emperor. That changes a lot. Like
It
in terms of
does.
their dynamic. And also the Emperor was lying to them all from the beginning. He had this agent amongst them from the very beginning, watching them, subtly manipulating them down the path that he wanted them to go. It's like, ooh, you bastards. Ooh.
I could see people not enjoying the potential of denigrating the coolness of some of the Primarchs by saying effectively Alfarius did it for you kind of
Yes,
deal.
yeah.
I
I
could
could
see
see
that
that.
upsetting people, and I
Yes.
think that fair enough if that upsets them. There's an interesting idea behind that though.
Mhm.
I just don't know where I don't know where I stand if I think it's a good call to
Mhm.
do that to the characters or not. I'm not sure. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
mean, I suppose it depends on the subtlety of it. I mean, it does.
Yeah.
He's not present at all the great victories, and obviously the
Hmm.
Primarchs win their own, but it's just the ones where the Emperor wants a particular outcome.
Like, if you
To
tell me all of Lehman Russ's victories are due to Alfarius, I'm fine with that because screw
yeah,
Lehman Russ. Hate
yes,
him.
that would be grand, wouldn't it? But
Yeah,
he steers clear of Magnus quite significantly because he
that
knows
makes sense.
Magnus would perceive him.
Yeah,
Magnus
yeah,
would psychically. He'd look at the Thousand Sons legionary who's not supposed to be there and go, you, you, who are you? What's
yeah.
going on here then? So he steers well clear of Magnus. There's a couple of the others he doesn't really like to go near as well because of their cleverness and because he believes they might perceive him. The Lion is one he tends to,
That makes sense.
steer
Who
clear of.
else?
Let me think who are
Dawn?
the others. No, Robite. Robite he doesn't go as close to as some of the others
Okay. Mhm.
because again he's got that human quality where he knows all of his legionaries as sons and as battle brothers and as individuals, so he would be able
Hmm.
to spot someone who isn't quite right.
So all the ones that are kind of slightly more distant or unhinged or kind
Mhm.
of prime targets.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
Well, that makes
Uh,
sense, though, doesn't it? You want somebody there who's
Yeah.
going to get the ones that are more, for want of a better term, chaotic to
yeah,
get the result that you want. So
that's it.
that actually makes quite a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Of course, but he also just knows how to push their buttons. He knows how to do it. He knows them so intimately. There isn't anyone else, barring maybe the Emperor, and that's questionable given the way he acts towards them, who knows how to push the other Primarch's buttons in the way that he does.
That's a all right. Well, I'll add that one to my list.
It's good. I mean, it's given him a lot of character. It's given him a hell of a lot of character, which I like a lot. I've got to say. The other one I've read, obviously, was the new Araman book.
That's book 3, 4?
Book 4. This is. I mean,
Damn.
technically it is book 4, but there's lots of other little books in between as well. There are like little
Okay. Yeah.
novellas and collections of short stories. Reading the whole canon is actually quite difficult at this
Yeah.
point because I don't think you can get them all together. You can get the big books, but you can't get the little short stories and the little novellas as part of that. So you
No.
have to go and seek them out. But it's very good. I mean, again, it's John French writing Araman and the Thousand Sons, so you're not going to go wrong, are you?
No, absolutely not. I've started at the beginning and I'm going to go through them.
Oh, have you read the bit with the Harlequins?
In the first book. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Oh, in the
Yes.
I mean in the second. I mean
In the second book, sorry. Yeah.
in
I was going to
current
say I haven't heard that bit.
No,
No, I
sorry.
mean, like in the latest one, in the current one, it starts with a Harlequin mask, and it is one of the best portrayals, not only of the Harlequins but of the Eldari I've ever seen in the fiction before.
What I decided to do was take my time with them and just do a chapter a night.
Yep.
Start at the very beginning, do a chapter a night, and then write a review of each one when I come to the end of it. And what it's done is it's created this review, which I am not sure if it makes sense, but it gets the feeling that I have at the end of that first book out. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like,
No, I know exactly. It's your emotional reaction.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
your visceral reaction.
And it's a very interesting way because it feels like, because I've only done the chapter a night, it feels like I've been on this massive journey with him. You know, it's a really weird experience. I can't remember the last time I read a chapter a night of anything because my big old ADHD brain will just go, entire book digest. And that's usually how I go through a book. It's, here is book 1, page 1. Book ends. Oh, it's 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, that feeling.
Whoopsie.
Well, speaking of book 1, I think somebody put up a review of that recently.
I did.
Didn't they?
Yep.
And it wasn't me because I've finished it quite recently as well. What did you think of it, book 1?
I loved it.
I loved it.
Right.
I think it was absolutely amazing. I thought it's interesting seeing Ahriman being taken from the height, the perch that he is, that you know that he was at, and being put so low, only to slowly but surely, depressed Sadaman, to rebuild himself without realizing he's rebuilding himself as fates just kind of push and pull him.
Yeah.
As he's just going.
That's the fun of it, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. And
like he doesn't really intend to do or become what he does he? He doesn't have much of a choice.
No, it's weird because you see him trying to manipulate whilst he is also being manipulated. And you've got to wonder, I mean, the sort of traitor marines that are around him, you've got to wonder how many threads are they dancing on because Jesus Christ. You know.
Because he is. I mean, I know they call Fabius Bile the spider, but technically Ahriman is, isn't he? He manipulates. He's got such a web of influence, not only within his own warbands, but across the universe. You know, it's unbelievable. But I like him, don't you? Like, you know, in the same way I liked Fabius Bile. You know?
Oh yeah, he's incredibly charismatic,
and you understand why he's doing what he's doing, you know?
He's trying to put a broken glass back together, and you can respect that.
He's trying to put things right, yeah?
Yeah.
And there is something to that. There is something very almost noble about that. And what I love about Ahriman is it doesn't matter how many times he fails, he never gives in to despair. He never stops, you know? He just keeps going and going and going. And I mean, you know, this guy has suffered 10,000 years of failure, right? Of almost total failure and trauma as well. I mean, like, you know, everything he's ever believed in has been destroyed, has been inverted, has been revealed as being the master manipulation of this Lovecraftian god from beyond time and space, you know? Everything has been destroyed and he still keeps going.
Not only has the things he loved been destroyed, but I guess like his self-confidence, like I can do anything. I can see the future. I can help my brothers. I know I can. Oh, they're all piles of dust now, even though I should have known better.
Yes, but he just keeps going. What I love is even having experienced that, he doesn't stop.
No.
I mean, It's amazing.
Is
And
that
in
down
these,
to a little bit of the gene seed arrogance of Magnus?
I think that's probably it. Yes, it's the arrogance of Magnus coming out, and it's this notion as well that he's the one to do it. Only he can do it. There's that element
Well,
of it as well.
there is that element, but there's also no one else is going to try. Magnus isn't going to bother.
No, that's true.
He doesn't care to. And
No.
if your dad's not going to help you, basically the rest of your brothers, and
Yeah,
no
it's
one
true.
else is going to bother, what can
Yeah,
you
you're
do?
right. And also, he is the best sorcerer. I mean, like, there's
Yeah.
that too. He is the greatest sorcerer of the Thousand Sons, barring
Mm,
Magnus, obviously. He is the most powerful. If anyone is going to do it, I suppose it is going to be him.
mm.
And throughout the series of these books, he tries so much, and he is manipulated the entire way. And he has successes, but he has massive setbacks and failures as well. And sometimes they do get to him. Sometimes he does let that despair in, but it's only for a second.
Mm.
He always brings himself back around. He's such a complex individual. Like sometimes there are multiple. It's like there are multiple versions of Araman. He's such a complex entity that there are multiple versions of Araman that argue with themselves in his head.
Is that inside his mind palace kind of
That's
thing?
right. That's
Has
right.
has he almost kind of separated his emotions and different sides of his
That's
personality?
exactly it. He's got like
Ah,
it's almost like there are different aspects of him that want
mm.
different things and that perceive different things. And sometimes he encounters them. He actually is at war with them in his own mind and in his own soul. And that's
God, he
really
must know like separating his psyche into different fragments is incredibly like Zinchian.
it's
He
very
has to know that can't be a good idea.
No, I mean, that's the other tension, of course. He knows he's one of those very interesting chaos characters who knows that he is being manipulated. He knows
Mm.
that Zeech has got his eye on him, and he knows what Zeech is. He knows that Zeech is completely treacherous, and that it's all a game, and that the only reason that he's even still alive is because Zeech finds him amusing. But he still thinks that he can get the better of that. He still thinks that he can conquer the warp. He still thinks that he can undo the power of the chaos gods. I mean, it's like, wow, the arrogance.
I
That's
guess
the
though,
thing, the
if
hubris that
if
Ahriman
fate plays
has.
up correctly, surely he can.
He
If
can.
things go
That's it.
right,
That's it. If that's the irony of it. He kind of can. He
yeah.
understands the warp enough to understand that it is possible.
Because one of the things I took away from that first book was that Ahriman is two sides of the coin. He is hubris and humility at the same time,
Yes.
and he's
Yeah.
fascinating because of that. That sheer self-belief that powers him, that's being eroded by the guilt he feels, but it's not making him want to wallow and suffocate in his own failure. It just makes it want to do it better next time because he believes he can. And
Because he believes he
such
can.
an amazing character. I mean, I think Fabius Bile wins out for me out of the pair of them because Bile is right on every level. It's a weird thing to say about Mr. Mad Eugenics, but he's
I was going to say,
correct.
right, about like the eugenicist that makes Mengele look like a nurse in a school,
Yeah.
right?
But in the situation that humanity is in, he is absolutely bang on the money correct.
He is. In the metaphysics of that universe, he's the only one who's coming up with solutions, isn't he? He's the only one, right?
And it's honestly, it took me so long to come to peace with that fact that, hang on,
Yeah.
I actually think Fabius Miles correct with this.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? When you compare the two, they're very similar, aren't they? They're very
Massively.
similar dynamically. They want the same thing, interestingly. They want to liberate humanity and the sentient races of the universe from the purview of chaos. They just go about it in different ways. So Fabius is going about it by trying to change the very nature of humanity through genetic manipulation and eugenics. Ahriman is going directly for the metaphysics. He believes that it can be transformed metaphysically, like you can literally reach into the warp, perform some incredible, vast, forbidden ritual, and undo the power of chaos somehow. It's pretty incredible. I imagine if they could somehow confabulate, if you could bring them both together, they would come up with a fairly decent solution.
Would Fabius be okay with that? Because he does have Fulgrim in him, so he is quite like, no,
They would
good,
hate
you
one
bad.
another. That's the
Yeah.
problem. They would hate one another. Fabius would hate the fact that Araman uses metaphysics, uses magic. He would be like, nope, you are dabbling in the very thing that you're trying to destroy. You're an idiot. Araman would regard Fabius as small-minded and picayune and petty for being restricted to that one solution.
Well, Araman would consider Bile to be no more than a barbarian.
Yeah.
You know, the flesh tearer. You know, it's
Yeah.
What exactly are you trying to achieve here by undoing and redoing flesh when I'm working on scales you can't even comprehend?
Exactly. I'm reaching into the hidden mechanisms of reality. You're mucking about making flesh puppets, you know?
Whilst Bile would probably just want to kick Araman in the nuts for being a prick. You know, it's like...
Yeah. But the irony is, if they could sit down and talk rationally for a few minutes, they'd probably realize that they both really kind of want the same thing.
What you want is a certain Necron to be a go-between.
Trazid.
Who are you and how did you get in here? I'm Trazid the Infinite, and I'm Trazid the Infinite.
Exactly that. I mean, the Necrons are in the new book, you know. They're actually one of the things that John French really likes playing with in the new book is he's clearly gone, okay, there are 2 Egyptian-themed armies in 40k. Let's throw them together and see what happens.
I like that.
And it's great fun. I mean, it's really good fun. The way he presents... I mean, John French is excellent at doing the alien races. I mean, like capturing the alien perceptions and logic of the alien races. And the way he portrays the Necrons is brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, absolutely fantastic. There's a sequence in it, minor spoilers, nothing major. This doesn't like spoil the story or anything, where Araman has a captive Necron cryptek, like a chronomancer, right? And the way the chronomancer escapes is by trying to escape and then rewinding time just a little bit and then trying again with the knowledge that it has from that first attempt. And it keeps doing it. It keeps doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it until it gets out.
That's one of the short
It's
stories,
brilliant.
isn't it?
It's great. It's like, that's awesome. What a brilliantly clever thing, you know. I thought that was fantastic.
That is it's one of the short stories. It's very, very cool. It's got
Isn't it fun, right?
It's got such a wonderful ending. I'm not going to spoil the ending, but it is like you can hear the knuckles crack as it's just right. Enough of that bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, of course, one of the things that John French really loves playing with in the new book is the fact that the Necrons are anathema to psychic powers, of course. They can dull psychic powers, they can sort of fog the connection to the warp, and that, of course, cuts off the Thousand Sons' principal strength. So what he loves playing with here is what happens when you do that to Araman and his cabal.
What happens when you do that to an army that's made of dust?
Exactly. It's really interesting. It's really interesting.
Intriguing. Well, I look forward to getting to that book.
It's a good one. And it's lovely to see him back. You know, it's lovely because John French is really at home with this subject matter. He's really good at it. I would say he's probably alongside Graham McNeil, who wrote 1,000 Suns, which is amazing. He's probably one of the best writers to be writing the 1,000 Suns. He just gets them. He gets them, and he gets Araman in a very intimate way.
Here's a weird thing for you that I didn't realise. You know that Araman's John French's first book?
Yes. Which is pretty impressive.
How do you write a book that good as your debut novel?
It's pretty damn impressive. It's
fucking hell. Come on.
And since then he's gone on from strength to strength. I will buy the books that John French writes just because it's John French writing them, like ADB.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I just want John French now to go off and write me something about the Gloomspite or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good.
Speaking of which, of course, next week Drecky Flint gets his book and miniature out.
That's right.
Caradron.
And the vampire dude as well, right?
Yes, the Hollow King. Which, yes, absolutely, it's a nice little mini. looking forward to
Actually,
reading
there's some
those.
good Black Library stuff coming out, isn't there? There's a lot of good stuff coming up, a lot of really strong stuff coming up. The penultimate Siege of Terror book.
Yeah, it's on its way.
What's it called? Echoes of Eternity or something
That's the
like
one.
that?
That's the one. Yeah.
Means the end of the Horus Heresy is very, very close. And then we
Yes!
go, what next? Black
What
Library.
next, right? I mean, and also this is written by Owen Dembski-Bowder, so you just automatically know it's going to be good. You just know it's going to be a good one.
What I really
there's a
want them
lot-
to do, and this is not going to ever happen, but I want Horus Heresy to come to an end, the dust to settle for a little while, and then I want them to go and do a single shot, maybe a 3-book series about the Long Night. You know, go right back. I want to see pre-Imperium, like pre-Crusade Imperium, and it could end with like, I don't know, the Thunder Warriors or something coming down, or whatever. But I really want to see what that was like.
So, like the Long Night, the Age of Strife, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, I would.
You could do a lot of interesting stuff in there. Whose perspective would you have it from?
Yeah, you'd have to create an entirely new character because they're not around, are they? Even the Emperor
actually,
is.
no.
The Emperor is technically around.
You could do it from Malkador's perspective. He was around.
Oh yeah. Or one of the Perpetuals.
Yeah.
Bring back John Grammaticus.
That's the one I was thinking of.
He's already around. He's on Terra.
Good old John.
There you go. You have the John Grammaticus saga, and it starts in 1922 in Chicago. That would be a weird fucking thing to have. How weird would that be as a Black Library release?
Yeah, when you open the book and it's set in like 1920 Chicago. That'd be so weird, wouldn't it?
It would. It would be
Like the idea he's in Alcatraz next to Al Capone.
I mean, we've already had something like that. When the likes of Grammaticus turned up, they speak like human beings from now. Like they use the idioms, the references of human beings from now, and it's really weird. It's not a mistake either. It's deliberate. No. It's deliberate. It's trying to demonstrate that the Perpetuals are kind of from this era.
It's one of those things that I found it really difficult to get behind John Grammaticus when he first appeared, and I couldn't explain why it was. And that's it. That's exactly it. And once my brain went, it's because he predates 40k or 30k.
Right.
I went, aha! And that got me into John Grammaticus. I'm going to rephrase that. That got me enjoying the character of John Grammaticus a lot more.
Yes,
and now I think he's great.
He's quite fun, isn't he? I mean, he comports himself like we would. If we stepped into the 40k universe, that's how he comports himself, you know?
I think you'll find if I stepped into the 40k universe, I would just start screaming. Like,
yeah,
no, that I don't want to be here.
No.
Yeah, but you could hang out with the squat scruff, and the rattling, so would it be that bad?
It looks like if you could land in like one of the Votan colonies, you'd be all right. Yeah. Because they seem to be all right, don't they? From what we already know, they seem to be quite good places to be.
Shall we get into the leagues? Because there's been a lot about the
God
leagues.
Almighty.
How big is this range?
Huge. I mean, it's enormous. But for me, it's like every time they do an article, the lore is exactly what I want.
Yeah.
It's like exactly what I would want them to be. It's incredible. It's incredible. I love what they're doing with them dynamically thus far. The way they're using them to shine an unflattering light on the Imperium, which has needed doing for a while.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool indeed. I mean, these are effectively human colonies that are doing it right. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, everything you're seeing from them is how to survive 40k, and it's
right, but without the overtly fascist stuff of the Imperium.
Yeah,
right?
It's how to survive in a pleasant experience. Maybe not pleasant, but you know what I mean.
There has to be like something they're going to reveal later on that's like, this is the dark undertone of the race.
I mean, they've already technically got it. They do. I mean, like all the races in 40k, they do already have a dark undertone. I mean, for one thing, there's that whole thing about them being all clones. Like, so they are genetically cultivated from these cauldrons of genetic material, and it's the Votan themselves that determine the shapes and the forms that they take, right?
And the Votan are senile and mad.
So there's bound to be there's bound to be like clans of them that are fucked up 3 ways from Sunday. That's bound to be the case. But generally speaking, they seem to be more stable than most of the other races in 40k. They seem to be much less prone to things like the predations of chaos, for example. We haven't really heard about how they do that, but that does seem to be the case. And less prone to the sort of fascism inherent to the Imperium as well.
Not only that, there's a real sense of brotherhood that comes through in a way. It's very different to how the Space Marines view each other. The Space Marines have a tendency of calling each other brother and back brother and things like that. And it's a sense of comradeship through warfare.
And let's not forget, it's also prescribed by their psycho conditioning. It's also
absolutely.
That too.
But there's something about the way that the leagues. We haven't had a huge amount of information about them. We've had a smattering, but not the full book. And I want the full book, and I will happily give somebody my eyes for that book. Damn it! Now I can't read the book. I've given away my eyes. You fool, Adam! What devil's bargain have I made?
If anyone out there from GW is listening and they want to, if they fancy giving us a review copy early on, that'd be nice. I wouldn't say no.
I'll review that for every day for a week. Go on.
Yeah. And quite frankly,
I need it. But yeah, I love the idea of all of these different groups. They all have a very tight family connection to each other. And that's that's something that hasn't existed.
No. Also, they're rational, aren't they? They deal with the alien races. They seem to be okay with that. Like the Tau and probably the Eldari as well. They're just sort of like, oh well,
I so want there to be an Eldari issue between them, but it's all on the Eldari side. Like
elves and dwarves, yeah. You want to go for the old classic elves and dwarves thing.
No, I want to turn it on its head by it being all the Eldari have a problem, but the leagues don't give a shit.
Yeah, the leagues don't give a shit, right? That'd be great, wouldn't it?
They're just like,
or
whatever.
Wouldn't it be great if they inverted that old trope and the Eldari are kind of okay, bizarrely okay with the leagues of Votan? Wouldn't that be brilliant? That'd be awesome. I'd love to find that out.
That would be so cool. Just the leagues.
It'd be totally out of character for the Eldari because the Eldari are xenophobic arseholes, and they regard everyone as lesser than they are. But wouldn't that be awesome if there is this weird, I don't know, kinship somehow between them? That would be fantastic.
Farseers go to see the leagues of Votan, just so they can talk to the Votan in order to try and find ways to make new craft ships. There we go. That's how they do it. You have them going to the Votan for advice, and they're just like, "Hi, come on in. Be good for a laugh."
I think it's gone the way of the dodo now. But there was a time when the Eldari, when they were the Eldar, kind of not liked but had a protective attitude towards the Tau.
Mm-hmm.
There is a quote in one of the old codices from, I think it's from 3rd ed or 4th ed, where it's Eldrad Ulthran, and he's saying how this emergent species, he feels protective of them. They're like children, but they haven't yet made the mistakes that we or humanity have made. Mm-hmm. And if only we can guide them, maybe they can make something out of the utter mess that we've all made of the universe.
I've always liked that, the idea that they kind of need to be protected so they can be better than we are.
Yeah, but that's gone, I think, now. I think that's gone the way of the Dodo. It's never been repeated. It's never been reprinted, that quote.
Which is a shame, because the Tower... the Tower need all the help they can get.
Yeah, I suppose they do.
Oh, wait. No, they don't, because they can shoot the fucking bollocks off a fly now.
I was going to say, not with the Storm Surge, they don't.
The Tower mental. But yeah, the leagues are something I'm massively excited for. I'm just amazed at how big this range is going to be.
Yeah, it's massive, isn't it? I mean,
got a lot of faith in it.
Yeah, a huge amount of faith. I mean, this is a big launch. This is bigger than what the Tower had when they launched it. Definitely
and
bigger than what the Necrons had when they launched.
it's the first time that we've had I mean, I know they're an old race technically, but a new race in 40k since the Tau, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Cripes,
and-
mighty.
I mean, this is bigger than this release looks like it's bigger than what the Lumineth had by quite some way. Definitely bigger than what the Sisters of Battle had when they got a re-release. There's a lot all hitting at once.
And it's not just like the size of the range, it's the quality of it as well. I mean, those miniatures, those sculpts are... Every single one I've seen thus far has been standout incredible.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I can see where I'm going to do conversions already, to make them mine. And it's not often you can look at pictures of something and see instantly where you want to do things.
Right.
But every time I've looked at a new miniature that's come out or a new concept that's hit, my brain has just gone tick, 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 this.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got an idea, and I'm going to paint them all up to look like Dr. Robotnik. And that's...
Excellent. Excellent.
And
Big mustaches for all.
Exactamundo. And I'll get the Sonic the Hedgehog Death Egg Robot to be their dreadnought. But no, I really like them. I think so far everything I've seen has been spot on perfect.
And that seems to be the impact they've made across the board. I haven't seen anyone complaining about them. This is 40k, bear in mind, people complain about everything. I haven't seen anyone complaining about them. People like this range.
Mm-hmm. I've seen people complain about it, but that's because it's people who wanted it to be leaning more towards the bikers or leaning it more towards
in the 1980s.
The Space Vikings look.
That's fair.
But those voices are few and far between. The more, if people aren't behind the models, they're definitely behind the lore. And that I think is a really interesting thing. I mean, the amount of League of Votan groups that have sprung up overnight as people got excited, they're just talking about it and really dissecting things, and it's absolutely brilliant. And,
barring like some catastrophe, I do think this is going to be a big one for Games Workshop. I think it's going to. The Votan look like they're going to be put on the map, right?
Mm-hmm. Big time. And I'm hoping they've got an idea of what they're going to do lore-wise going forward with them. I'm desperate for a novel. I'm really hoping they bring a novel out with it.
I think you can almost pretty much guarantee there's going to be some Black Library stuff coming out with them.
I'll rephrase. I hope there's a good novel.
A good novel, that's the key, isn't it? That's the thing.
Do you remember Gene Stealer?
Ooh. No, I've wiped it from my mind.
That wasn't a good one.
But for me, what really is going to sell them is their relationships. I want this book. I want to know how they relate to the wider universe. I want to know how they relate to the Imperium, because they're in even given the tidbits of what we know, they're in a very shonky position, aren't they? Like, the Adeptus Mechanicus is not going to like them.
No.
The Imperium in general is not going to like them, because they are technically abhuman mutants, right? It's
I'm
very
really hoping that the Ogrins and the Bulgrins get rules in their book.
That could be interesting.
That would be so good to have Bulgrins running around in the background of the leagues. That would just make me super happy.
All the abhumans together, yeah?
Mm-hmm. And then you get like little batlings as well. That would just be really cool.
That would just be the icing on the cake, wouldn't it? If you had rattling snipers as well, my God.
If you had
It'd be a good way to incorporate them into something, because they don't really exist.
No,
apart from Blackstone Fortress, right?
Right. They're sometimes mentioned in the lore, like as just the most briefest reference, and that is it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe unless Imperial Guard Army finally gets kind of an upgrade at some point, maybe it'll happen.
Rumor is that's incoming.
Is it? Yeah, okay.
Yes, there are rules. There are rules floating about for the Astra Militaria on some of the forums. Apparently, there are rules leaks knocking about. I don't know what I haven't read them myself because I'm not interested, but I'm interested for other people.
The way I understand it is Chaos Demons next, Leagues after that, with probably a first release in September, full release end of October, beginning November, and then something for Christmas, but don't know what.
World
I'm
Eaters,
going
isn't
to
it?
guess that that's probably right. World Eaters.
I mean, come on, the big red guy. You've got to do the big red guy for Christmas, surely.
Oh,
Surely,
fucking hell, of course. Mm.
you know.
But then there's Imperial Guard early next year.
Yes, yes, and apparently it's like the entire miniatures range, isn't it? The rumors, the scuttlebutt is that they've gutted the entire thing, and they are just going to release like entirely new miniature sets for them, which is what they've needed doing for the longest time. There
Oh,
are some ancient kits in that line.
yeah.
Ancient.
Look at the
Although-
Kachians. The Kachians are really sad. It's like,
Yeah, although we have had a glimpse at the new Khorne Berserker, speaking of ancient kits, haven't we?
have we?
We had a glimpse, yeah. We've had a look at one of the new miniatures, yeah.
No, I don't think we have.
No, yeah, we did.
No,
Yeah.
no,
I know.
no such thing.
That delusion's going to take some chipping through, isn't it? You know,
No, I don't think I saw anything. I saw some new.
it's like that Doctor Who
Khorne Space
episode,
Marines.
Heaven Sent. You know, where he's chipping away bit by bit. That's what it's like. Yeah, we've had a bit of a glimpse.
I seem to remember some people talking about Wally is getting a bit of a
Yeah.
blow up. Yeah, that's...
Of course. I mean, there's got to be the means of making another Wally in this set, surely. Surely. It's very good, isn't it? It's a lovely... It looked good. It looked good. We haven't seen... I mean, we've only seen one miniature. And from what we've been told, it's a very diverse kit. There's going to be lots of, like, chains and skulls and Khorne icons, different helmets, alternative axes, and all sorts of stuff in it. So, yeah,
yeah,
it could be very interesting.
All jokes aside, it does look really nice. I'm really happy for Khorne players because, my God, they've needed this so badly.
Oh my God! Well, when you
hope
compare,
that-
like,
I hope that when they get
the
released, they're
current-
actually smaller than the current Berserkers.
tiny, yeah. But like, when you put the current ones, the current Khorne Berserkers up against like the Thousand Suns kit, it's like the rubrics are massive compared to them. It's ridiculous.
It's when you put them up against Nurgle, like the Death Guard.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
The Death Guard look like the bullies in the schoolyard. They just turn up and eat all the cake. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's very silly. It is. Oh my! But yeah, I mean, the World Eaters are an interesting prospect. I mean, another one of those armies where they're going to be a hard sell. I mean, not in terms of like the miniatures, and also they're well established. People are absolutely frothing for these things, but in terms of the way they manifest on the battlefield, because they're a close combat army, which is tricky in 40k.
Mm-hmm.
It's tricky.
Even though they said that this edition was meant to be the melee focused edition, that hasn't really played out too much, has
It's
it?
better. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's better than
sure.
it was in 8th Ed. I mean, 8th Ed, it was just a non-prospect. In 8th Ed, if you were playing melee, you were dead. You were done. There was no way you were playing a competitive game. It's better this time round, but still, the long range is king. It really is. The fire, the shooting phase is king, ultimately.
I mean, it just makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's 40k, isn't it?
Yeah.
There are apocalyptic alien weapons here. You can't really get around it. It's part of the setting, so it is going to be that way. But I mean, they've managed it with demons. Demons are looking great. I mean, I'm really shocked. I'm really, really shocked that people are reacting to the leaks of the demons as they did to the Tyranids.
Are they making new demon models, or is it just the old models?
It's the old models. I think there might be a new model, like a character or something, but no, it's the current.
It's a shame.
range.
I'm not shocked, but I get
it is. I mean, some of those kits need doing too. I mean, like the Demonettes. Please redo the Demonettes.
Yeah.
I love Demonettes. I love the actual entities, but these miniatures don't sell them for me.
They don't. Oddly enough, they don't sell the sex of them.
No,
and they need to be sexy in a way.
I always like the old Juan Diaz ones. I think those for me were the best Demonettes. I loved them to absolute bits.
Agreed.
I've got a couple of those. I got them, when they re-released them for the made to order. I got a big pack of them, so I've got a couple of them.
Cool. Do you think that when that book comes out, they will have on the made to order the old 90s metal Greater Demons?
Oh, God Almighty, maybe. I doubt it.
It'd be great. The demons look really small now, though. Those metal ones.
They'd be tiny.
They did do the Vermin
fun to
Lords
have.
not long back.
They did, didn't they? That's a point. In the Vermin Lord is older than them.
Yeah.
Maybe they could just do a KO upscale of them, just like make them bigger.
That'd be good. That'd be fun. I mean,
Good.
the miniatures, the sculpts are still pretty good. Like the
they're amazing.
Great King one, I love.
Yeah, the one that's based on the Wayne England art. Absolutely.
That's right.
Gorgeous.
That's right. Lovely miniature. Lovely miniature. And Lord of Change. Yeah, I remember when that hit. I remember. Do you remember the White Dwarf when that came out?
I
It was an
do.
event. That was.
All
Suddenly, you
four
had
of
like
them, yeah.
corn armies everywhere. On the basis of that miniature, you had corn armies all over the shop. There were corn berserker armies in 40k. There were corn chaos warrior and demon armies in fantasy battle. It was crazy, and that's because the Bloodthirster was like the thing back then.
Yeah, it was. Do you want to know a really weird thing, actually, when that got released? Originally, I found it disappointing because they'd flattened the face right down to make it more... It looked like a demon, like a...
more humanoid, I suppose.
Whilst the one before it had that big dog face, didn't it?
Yes, it had the hound head, didn't it?
And it was always like, oh, why didn't you keep the hound head? But over time, I was eroded on that one because those sculpts are gorgeous. That fucking Keeper of Secrets. Oh.
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
the Lord of Change. Oh.
Yeah, so beautiful. So beautiful. They were, I mean, don't get me wrong, I do prefer the current sculpts. The current sculpts for the Greater Demons are phenomenal. In fact, they're the best they've ever been. That Lord of Change.
Oh, it's amazing.
I can't get over it. I'll be honest. I cannot get over the current Lord of Change. I think it is stunning. And the Keeper of Secrets. It's like everything I want from a Slanesh demon, right? Just so gorgeous. But I do have a soft spot for those. It's Trish Morrison who did those, isn't it?
Yep.
Trish Morrison who did the those metal. And at the time, they were some of the biggest metal miniatures, weren't they?
They were.
Yeah, huge. They towered over everything.
Yeah,
and
they were big. They were
heavy as fuck.
Oh, bloody hell. I remember getting that damn Bloodthirster with the big metal fucking wings and not being able to get them to stay fucking on. Ever, because do you remember how big they were, those wings? They were like big plates of lead,
Yeah, I remember how they stuck on. They stuck on through like giant square pegs and board.
That's
and it still didn't hold.
No, it still didn't stay on. I mean, I had one fully painted, and every time you moved the damn thing, the wings would fall off. Every single damn time. Just, or it would fall backwards,
Memory serves me right, I put milliput over the top of it. So super glued it in, did like a smooth milliput over the top, and the problem was it made it too heavy. So every time you kind of moved it slightly, it just went fudunk onto its back.
Yeah.
Which broke the milliput. So it's like, that was a pointless exercise.
Yeah, they were pains. The most stable one was the Great Unclean one, because he's just a big ball,
Yeah, he didn't have anything too heavy coming off of him either. The tongue was fairly thin. The sword wasn't too big.
The sword was pretty solid. It had a good old big square peg to sit on. It wasn't too bad at all.
Yeah, that was kind of tucked into his arm anyway, so it wasn't dangling out there.
He was a good lad. Good lad.
I painted them all. At various points, I painted each and every one of those Greater Demons. I wonder what happened to them.
This is where you start chanting their names and they all just come out of a box.
Yeah,
somewhere.
they all turn up, right? I know where the Great Unclean one is. He's behind me on my shelf, but I don't know where the others are.
You'll have to find them and get some photos because they are gorgeous.
Yeah,
that Great Unclean one I found earlier this year, for my brother's birthday. So I got that for him, found it all painted and everything, and gave it to him, and he just looked at it and went, God, that's ugly. I love it.
Isn't it? Isn't it great? Yeah. It's just so detailed. There's so much filth and nastiness on that sculpt. It's unbelievable. Worms, maggots, lesions, just pustules. Yeah, it's rancid. Don't get me wrong. I do prefer the current one. That Great Unclean one, the new one, is sublime.
Yeah.
It's sublime. The grin, the horns, everything. It's just stunning. But I do like the Trish Morrison sculpt. It has a soft spot for me.
Have you seen any of the new stuff that Trish Morrison's starting to put out?
No, I don't think I
Ooh.
have.
Yeah, I'll have to link you some bits. Doing tree men at
Yeah,
the
you should.
moment, and like, oh, they look so good.
Oh wow, for other ranges,
Yeah,
obviously
yeah,
not
yeah.
not
It's
GW anymore.
their own personal studio. So,
Right, right.
oh, they look so good, so good. Must have. Moving on, I've got my own things I've been doing these last few months to show off, which is the brightest orcs known to man.
Oh, I love these guys.
Lorks.
So
These are like they're such 1990s Red Phase Games Workshop orcs.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love it.
Yeah, I've even found the recipe to mix Goblin Green for the bases.
For the bases, great. Did we ever? I mean, was there ever any explanation why they went through that phase, like the red phase? And I mean, like everything was red. Undead miniatures were friggin' red for some reason.
It was down to publishing. So
Right.
they needed really vibrant colours. So if you remember, before, so pre 92, 93, there was a very
Yeah.
earthy tones to everything.
Yes.
If you remember. Very muted. So when they moved over to the new paper stock for White Dwarf, they needed to have really bright colours because they wanted to show off the paper stock, basically.
Right.
And to make it much more vibrant. And also, it was the 90s, so you had that very vibrant thing.
Yeah, and also lots of red. The 90s, like red was a colour, wasn't it? It was a thing in the 90s.
What's the most vibrant colour you can get on a miniature? It's red. Yeah,
right.
You have the dark. Red will go with anything, and it'll pop against anything else. So that's why you had so much red. I mean, frickin' Krell. Yeah, if you think back, there should be no red on him. He should be like dead and dusty, but yeah, he was super colourful, like bing. It's so weird.
Yeah, it's a strange thing to see on like characters like Krell, isn't it? And Heinrich Himmler even had red as a spot colour on various bits of it, you know?
Yeah.
So weird.
It was all down to vibrancy in White Dwarf, just to get your eye. Of course, the downside was that by about 1996, everything was red. So you were just looking at it going, I'm seeing nothing but red.
So nothing but red, yeah.
But yeah, the idea I had was I wanted to make these guys as 90s orc as possible. So I've been like learning how to do really vibrant colours.
It works. It really does work. I mean, obviously, it works very well on the orcs because against the green, it just pops, right?
I found a 1993 how to paint orc skin, and you would be amazed at how much yellow is in that.
Is it really?
Wow.
Oh yeah,
okay.
It is.
Wow.
The only green that you use is the base.
Oh, that's so
everything
weird.
else is yellow.
Is it just for the highlight?
So you're using a really dark green and a wash to start with, right?
Yeah.
And then you're using a orc green 50-50 with yellow.
Yeah.
To do the next level, and then you're dry brushing with you're doing another layer with yellow, dry brushing with a brighter yellow, and then you're doing edge highlights with like a super bright yellow.
How peculiar.
How weird is that?
Yeah, that is very, very, very strange indeed. To know that, you know?
Yeah, there's more yellow than green on him, but because you've got that dark green as the base, it draws the eye into making you think it's green.
Yeah, very strange. Very, very strange indeed.
It's actually been a really interesting journey learning this stuff. It's like,
learning how they used to do it.
It's like yellows. All the orcs have yellows on the cloth, right? And what I learned was you don't do yellow on white. You do like a really light orange or a really light pink. And then you put the yellow down on top of that. And it gives you that vibrant yellow.
That popping yellow, yeah?
It's mental. It's absolutely mental.
Is that because the white bleaches it out? It kind of leaches it of colour.
Exactly that, yeah.
Interesting. I mean, yellow's an unforgiving colour anyway, isn't it? It's very hard to paint, isn't it?
It is. I mean, my Necromunda squats are all in yellow. They're all using the colour scheme of Brawn, the Transformer Brawn.
Makes sense. Makes sense. He's a very sort of like squat character, isn't he? You know.
And the sole intention of that is because I want to buy the Transformers Bumblebee brawn, have it in tank mode, and just have it in the background as like a piece of scenery. And that's why I painted it that way, because I'm
makes
sick.
sense.
Because I'm sick. That's why.
I do find myself feeling sorry for like Imperial Fist and Lamenters painters out there.
I couldn't do it. I could never do an Imperial Fist army.
No,
I
it's
love them.
hard, isn't it? It's hard to like make yellow, to make it look interesting and have like depths and layers, but also to make it so that you don't stop it being yellow. So
Yeah.
it's not orange or white or whatever, you know.
Well, one of the interesting things I found out is that if you get yellow, if you try to turn yellow into a wash, it turns green.
Oh, okay.
You get a lot of green in it. So I was
That's
trying
so
to work
weird.
out how to do a yellow wash without losing the yellow, and it was so fucking difficult.
That's so weird. So what? I mean, I suppose some orange washes go yellow, don't they? When they're used,
yeah.
when they're watered down, they turn yellow. So I suppose that would be a way of doing it.
That's exactly what I ended up doing, was using... hang on, I'll tell you which one it was. Fugan Orange.
Right.
So I use Fugan Orange for all the crevices. What I normally do is when I'm... This is something I've had to relearn. When I normally put a wash on, I'll cover the area in the wash and then I'll like take it off again. Right?
Yes, yeah.
So, just to try and get that feeling. What I've done with the squats is, unfortunately, they're all the way up at the top of here, so I can't really get them down. What I did is I just ran it through the crevices, just by itself, and it was
just in the recesses.
Yeah, without it touching anything else, and that seems to have worked. But,
so it's like an automatic shading, you know?
Yeah. And so
cool.
that was strenuous.
I can imagine.
But
I can imagine it was.
But it was enough to teach us how to make these orcs, and I am so happy with how they've come out.
They've come out really well. They look great.
They're so bright. So
they do look good.
Almost finished repainting my entire Auric army, and now because I've got the neck chopper from the Warhammer Plus subscription, that is me done with the Iron Jaws. I'm finished with them.
Wow, fabulous, fabulous stuff.
It's a weird feeling because I'd never felt like I brought an army to completion before. It's always felt like, I could add more to it, or I could do more, get it something else. But now I've got neck chopper. That's my Oryx. I don't need to do any more.
That's your Oryx. You've done an Oryx army. That's really cool.
Well, until they make something else that's cool.
That's
yes,
right. Yeah. Of course.
I've got the Ogre big bear creatures. I've got Oryx riding them. I've got the 40k Squig riders. So they're now Oryx. My Iron Jaws riding them. The only thing I would want to possibly get is what's he called? The weird boy that just got re-released with all the hair.
Oh, Zodgrod.
Yes.
Wartsnagger.
Yeah. I might want to get him at some point just to turn him into an
all
Iron
the hair.
Jaw. Yeah.
That's the best description of Zodgrod, actually. The guy with all the hair.
Well, I mean, I've given like these guys because I've wanted these guys to look as 90s as possible. I've actually put mohawks and beards and stuff on him.
Oh, so he fits. He fits really well, right?
So I might have to do that at some point, but that's like a down the line thing, I think. Because once I
do you remember the original miniature?
Oh yeah,
of Zodgrod.
Yeah, absolutely, I do.
A big beard.
Yeah.
Not as good as the current one. I mean, the current one is amazing, but it had a lot of charm.
There's something about that Rogue Trader era space orcs where they all had like the weird scraggly beards and big multicolored mohawks and things. And I've always liked that. So I've kind of brought a lot of that into my Iron Jaws.
I must admit, I do like the Garskull from that era.
Yeah, man.
The little one. The tiny dude, who was actually smaller than a lot of the orc range from around that era anyway.
It's big hat, big boots Garskull. I've always wanted to see big hat, big boots Garskull be turned into the mecha Garskull that we've got now. So
the massive one.
It's the size of the current one, but it's wearing the big hat and big boots.
It's got the hat, it's got the big boots. Yeah, that would be grand. I'd go for that.
No, that would make me very happy because they moved the hat onto being horns that come out of his armor. It's
That's
always
right.
just been. It looks good, but big hat, big boots.
You like the big hat and the big boots, yeah.
I always like big hat, big boots.
I mean, I must admit, I can't believe what they did with him. I can't believe they made him into essentially a dreadnought, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
It's
right, yeah.
huge.
He is.
That thing is massive.
Oh, it is. I'm always sad that they've turned Gazgul into thingy, not Lehman Russ, but not his name. Fucking Space Wolves leader guy.
Yeah, that is Lehman Russ.
No, though he's not that Lehman
Oh,
Russ. Ragnar Blackmane.
Ragnar Blackmane.
They've turned Ragnar Blackmane into his arch enemy.
It should have been Yarrick.
Well, Yarrick's dead. We could all agree that Yarrick died of a heart attack
There
a
are
long time ago.
ways of bringing him back. I mean, come on. There are so many ways of keeping Yarrick alive. You know, it could be the Imperium has realized that the Orcs hate this Yarrick guy, so they create clones of him or something, or they get someone to play Yarrick who kind of becomes Yarrick or something. You know. Or he's just immortal because the Orcs believe that he is, you know? That's the best way to do it.
I had an idea for my League of Voltan, which is to have a tiny Yarrick. And they've just taken Yarrick's DNA and made a clone of him in that, and I've just got a tiny squat-based Yarrick.
You can always, in this kind of setting, nobody really dies. There's always ways of bringing them back, you know? And Yarrick, I wish they did. I really wish they did. The Imperial Guard are weird for that, though, aren't they? They've had loads of key characters that have just gone away, like Solar Macarius, you know?
Oh,
Lord Solar Macarius, who is one of the big characters in 40k, right?
No, yeah. I think it's because they've moved the timeline forward, so they've just quietly killed a lot of people off.
They're human. That's the problem, isn't it? They're human beings. They don't have the longevity of the alien races or whatever. But they can get around that. There are ways of getting it. It's a science fiction setting. Of course you can get around that.
Well, the easy way of getting around that, of course, is that, this battle is set 300 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, even when you were playing with Yarrick back in the day, it was an historical battle, right?
Yeah, of course it was. It's like when you used to have Nagash turn up in Warhammer Fantasy Battle. You know,
exactly.
It wasn't a modern game because Nagash is asleep.
It wasn't contemporary because he was, in Nagash's Azar, right? Just resting on his throne.
Yeah, just having a bit of a nap, you know.
Yeah, like a 10,000 year nap.
Sounds great, doesn't it? 10,000 year nap.
Fantastic. I could.
Yeah.
Man, I wish.
I bet it's one of those naps that you feel really shit waking up from, though.
Well, if you're Nagash, you probably do because you're a big bony dude, you know. Do you imagine like all the cricks you'd get? Like,
well, especially with a head.
You think he has to snap his hands, you know, and like cracks all of his bones?
Oh, I've been sat in this throne for too long. Can tell you that. Bloody hell!
I wish
my cartilage is all broken.
My cartilage.
Yeah.
Oh, bloody rats have been gnawing at my feet, haven't they? God.
People wonder why Nagash is so angry all the time.
It's because the Skaven keep coming in and nibbling his toes.
They do. That's actually true. That's actually accurate, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is. Kept turning up underneath Nagash's Azar and just like meh, meh, meh.
There is a story in the old, the Warhammer Armies Undead book, the original one, when Nagash was first described, where there's a thief that actually gets into Nagash's Azar and it gets into Nagash's throne room, and he's trying. Nagash just wakes up for a minute, blasts the shit out of him with his eye beams, turns him into a skeleton, then goes back to sleep.
He was a prince, not a thief. He was the Skaven.
That's right.
The Skaven managed to.
That's it.
I can't remember if they enchanted
They trick him, don't they? They sort of trick him or enchant him into going into Nagash's Azar for some reason. I can't remember why.
I remember the story's called Disturbing the King, but I can't.
That's right. It's a running story in the book, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, are you saying there is a story that's basically Don't Wake Dad, but with Nagash?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Don't
disturb
Daddy.
Not the god of death. Yeah, it's exactly that. Might be a bad idea. Yeah, because he ends up basically as a skeleton in Nagash's throne room, doesn't he?
He does, which means he just stands back up and goes and stands to the side and takes his place.
Yeah.
Right, see you later, guys. I'm going back to the line.
Oh, whoopsie daisy. Oh.
That didn't go so well, did it?
To you, to me. Hey.
I just like the fact that after he's done his eye blasting, Nagash goes back to sleep. I think that's brilliant.
Because he had an enchanted sword. The idea was that the sword
That's
was
right.
magically enough to kill Nagash, and Nagash just
It was
goes,
given. It was
"Fuck
given
off."
to him by the Skaven, wasn't it?
yeah.
That's right. Yeah, to kill Nagash. That's right.
I wish I could I-beam little birds that land on my windowsill in the morning.
That would be amusing, wouldn't it? Turn them into little bone birds and have them do
Yeah.
your bidding. Yeah.
Oh man, bone bird bidding would be an amazing thing to have. So what have we done today, Andy? Oh, you wouldn't believe it. These fucking seagulls, you just can't get control of them. They're just there flapping around stealing ice creams.
I'm totally into Nagash's bag. I would that state of being where you can just sort of hop from body to body or like form new bodies from bones and whatnot. Yeah, I'm into that.
I thought you were going to say you were into Nagash's bag, sleeping for 10,000 years.
Yeah, problem is it takes a lot of work. It's a lot of work, isn't it? Nagash goes through a lot to attain that status, and I'm not sure I've got the fortitude for it.
Well, I suppose that once you've got rid of like your human brain and all the skin,
yes,
you're looking at things a bit differently.
That's the thing, isn't it? Nagash has got immortality on his side, which is, that's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, you still got a pile of shame in the back somewhere.
I hope that at some point there's a campaign book that comes out which is like Nagash just coming back pissed off and on the hunt for Teclis.
I mean that's really what should happen, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because like the last we saw of Nagash, he basically got he got blatted by Teclis, didn't he? Let's face it, Teclis really did blat the shit out of him.
He did. Nagash got proper blatted, and Thingy got sent off into the abyss.
He did, yes. Arkan got kind of destroyed. He got really properly done in.
I was surprised by that one because I thought that might be the beginning of like all the holdovers from Fancy Battle being taken out.
Mm-hmm.
But
no, he's back. He is in the Soulblight book. So I'd assume that he's still around.
No, he's gone. He's gone.
Yeah.
Gone. At some point, I hope that he comes back as like a rival god to piss on Nagash.
That would be great, wouldn't it? If Arkan becomes like the new Lord of the Undead, I'd be up for that. I like Arkan.
Cool. Right, has anybody else got anything you want to bring up?
Has anything happened with AOS? While we've been getting all this 40k news?
Sylvaneth have come out and they're brilliant. Sylvaneth are amazing in third ed.
That's true.
What year is this?
And the Skaven, of course, but they've both been without relative fanfare, to be honest. I mean, it's a shame because they're really good books, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, the Skaven book's great. But it doesn't do anything new. That's the main thing to point out here. That the Sylvaneth book, it redefines how the Sylvaneth work on the table a bit. Much to their credit, and they are a really good force now. And it's difficult for me to not want to do some Sylvaneth because I keep thinking about ways to do a cool Sylvaneth army, and it makes me sad.
They're very attractive now. I can't believe I'm saying this about what is essentially the derivative of the Wood Elves, but they're really attractive now, aren't they? I mean, it's that whole sort of folk horror thing that they've got going on that I really love.
I mean, what I would do if I was to do a Sylvaneth army, it would be a lot of skulls and skeletons instead of the like the flesh bits, so to speak.
Yeah.
And really sort of play into the horror of the Sylvaneth.
That's what I'd be going for as well. Like I'd be looking back at fairy mythology for them. The really down and dark fairy mythology, the real stuff. Yeah,
I mean, old Irish myth would be the way to go on that one. Very old
changelings and that kind of thing. That's really what sells them for me, and they work on that level, because that's what they are.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely, that's what they are.
They're the old spites and brownies and dryads and stuff like that. So yeah, that works really well for me. Alariel's had a bit of a glow up. She's nuts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's
nuts.
Well, she had to be. She had to get powered up a bit in order to take on things like Kragnos.
Yeah, she's a proper goddess now, isn't she? I mean, like, properly powerful, which is great.
Kragnos.
Where's he gone? I mean,
where's anything from AOS gone?
That's a fair point. Where is AOS? Missing in action, Everything that's been happening in 40k has completely overshadowed it.
Anybody else worried that this is what they did with fantasy?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, the work that's been done to make AOS interesting has been so good. I
Mhm.
really don't want to see it die a death. I really,
No.
really, really don't. I mean, we've got some interesting stuff on the horizon. The Slaves to Darkness book is coming out.
Mhm.
There's that kind of thing. There's the is it the Disciples of Zeech that are on their way? I do believe.
Yes, I think I heard that.
Disciples of Zeech,
Mhm.
something like that. But they need to, beyond the army books, the battle tomes, they need to do something narratively with the whole game, the whole system. To we
They
need
need to
we
get
need the Broken
momentum.
Realms. Yeah, we need this era's Broken Realms.
Mhm. I mean, Broken Realms was the end of Soul Wars, but
Right.
by this point in Soul Wars, they changed the landscape so much and kept
Mhm.
that moment. This is the thing that annoys me. Soul Wars never let up at all.
Right.
No, it was ongoing. I remember you did Malign Portents, which was a big
Mhm.
lead up, and then Soul
Well,
Wars was just boom, boom, boom.
they did
Yeah.
Malign
Everything
Portents,
connected to Soul Wars.
and then they did a load of army books that fed into that. Then they came back again with Forbidden Power, did another run of stuff with that,
Mhm.
moving everything forward again. And there was another one after it, which I can't remember the name of. And then you hit Broken Realms. Soul Wars' life was just constant. That sounds wrong. It was constant. It had tons of momentum, and it just kept
Yeah.
things going. And it was always fascinating to see where things were in the army books.
Yep.
Right now, since third hit, the momentum is dead.
It just stopped dead, didn't it? And
Yeah.
it's such a shame because the ideas are great.
Well, it
The-
hit a pinnacle, and
idea-
I've done this. I've said this so many times now, and it's getting silly because we're nearly 2 years since. Are we 2 years, or is it just a year and a bit? We'll say 18 months. We're 18 months out from the release of Third Ed of
Yeah.
AOS 3.0.
All right, how long has third edition been out? Did you say?
About 18 months.
Oh my god, really?
A long time, isn't it?
Yeah,
for it to be
Oh my god, they've done nothing.
done very little. It's
I
a
will
shame.
say minimum it's been a year, right?
Oh my god.
It's still a long time, isn't it, for it
It
to be
is.
in this condition?
And it's just done nothing. You hit
Nothing.
that massive pinnacle of the Broken Realms, the Be'lakor book and the Teclis book. Coming off that, and then you have that Dominion novel that hits, and that's brilliant. Yeah. It's full of so much. You've got this wonderful idea of the Crusade starting.
Yeah, the Dawnbringer Crusades. That's such a cool idea.
It is, and the way that the Crusades work is fantastic. The idea of these false prophets saying that they know a place that you can go to start again, to build up this wonderful new civilization, and each and every one of them is probably a lie, and they don't come back because they've been murdered by everything out there. And but people get behind them, and the force of faith is pushing these crusades forward, and then just keep leaving the cities to go up and do this.
Yeah.
And then you got the dragons, and they came out with no fucking fanfare whatsoever.
No, I would struggle to even tell you when they came out because there was nothing.
I dare you to go into an actual Games Workshop store and buy a dragon.
Why? Why is that bad? Will they kill you? Will they throw you out of the store?
They're not on the shelves.
You can only
okay.
order them. Right, that's so weird.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it because the AOS display is so tiny or something?
I don't know what it is, but every Games Workshop I have been to, and I think it's 3 or 4, none of them have the dragons on the shelf.
God, and the return of the dragons could have been an event, right?
It should have been an event. It should have been massive. Because that should have spearheaded the Seraphons. Right.
Yeah.
This is the thing that is really getting on my nerves, and I'm going to get on my soapbox here. I don't go for being negative, but I think this is actually quite a big topic to hit.
Mm-hmm.
The dragons came back. We had the short story of how the Seraphon have been breeding these things and get the eggs hatched and then put them in some form of pocket dimension or something to keep them safe away from Kragnos. And then the idea is that they're building up this army to go at him. Dominion should have set off this entire chain of events where Kragnos gets to where the dragons are, and you have this apocalyptic battle of this god beast versus these huge ancient creatures and the smaller new ones, and this huge fight that takes place. But of course, where Kragnos goes, the destruction follows. So you have the Oryx, all the green skins, and you've got the Cruel Boys, which are fucking pointless because they've just done nothing. And there's just all these loose ends hanging there, and they've been hanging for, we'll say, a year. And it's ridiculous. It's really bad. And this needs to change. Something needs to happen. I understand that Dominion hasn't sold as well as Soul Wars did, which is a shame because it actually, as a rule set, it's pretty damn solid.
Yeah, that's the annoying thing as well, isn't it? Like, Third Ed is good.
Yeah, it's a really solid system.
It's a good system. It's a good system, and the books are good, right? The battle tomes are, every single one has been excellent.
Yeah, but
nobody liked the Cruel Boys. That was the thing.
Nobody does like the Cruel Boys. I turned my Cruel Boys into Famia, by the way.
I think that
yeah, exactly. You didn't like the Cruel Boys. You wanted Famia instead because that's what you wanted originally.
Absolutely, it was. So I spent a lot of time working out how to make them into Famia shells, and I
think that might have been it. Like the forces in the starting set were just not that popular with people.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the Stormcast minis were nice. They're really nice.
They were lovely.
But it's Stormcast
lovely.
again. The fact that you got these Oryx that don't really fit with what we've already got. They don't look like the Bone Splitters or the Ironjaws at all. The Hobgoblins, by the way, are absolutely amazing. I love the Hobgrots. I think they are the standout part of the Cruel Boys, for obvious reasons. But the Cruel Boys, they are pointless because they haven't done anything. You've got this fucking Mouth of Mork thing kicking around. You've got Gordrak, sorry.
Not Gorbash. No, definitely not Gorbash. That's something else.
Dragon. You've got Gordrak as the Fist of Gork, and you've got the other Cruel Boy, whose name I can't remember, as the Mouth of Mork, riding that giant vulture thing.
Yeah, which is a lovely miniature.
It is. It's a really, really nice miniature. But it's pointless because it's done nothing.
It's done nothing. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So you've got...
I mean, this seems to be a pattern, doesn't it? I mean, like, there are these incredible powers out there. There are, characters like Archaon and whatnot, and they're not doing anything. They're inert. Like, Archaon is supposed to be the Grand Marshal of the Apocalypse, but he's been notable by his lack of activity for the longest time.
Well, he sits in his bloody ever-chosen fortress and then just waits for the Bone Reapers to rock back up again so he can give him another kick.
Seems to be that way, doesn't it? It does seem to be that way. And occasionally he murders, the Undefeated,
Yeah.
Occasionally he defeats him.
I never defeated because every time I die, I come back. Never been defeated.
But I am defeated quite a lot, really, in real terms. That's it, whatever his name is. Alexander the Great of AOS.
Alexander the Bony, yeah. But
yes, him.
It's a real issue. Right now, Necromunda is doing more than AOS.
Yeah, Warcry, obviously.
Necromunda.
Kill Team.
Yeah. Warcry's new release looks like it's going to be doing a hell of a lot of stuff. Kill Team, the new Kill Team looks absolutely
amazing.
Incredible. Yeah.
Amazing looking, right?
I mean, I'm really interested in the new Kill Team. It looks absolutely...
It looks a little bit like... it looks like Space Hulk.
Yeah, but it's with a 3D fucking board. Come on.
Yeah. Amazing. I'm getting that set, I can tell you.
It won't be cheap, but my God, it'll look great. Wonderful game. But yeah, and it's weird that we're in a place now where Necromunda is moving things forward more than AOS is. The second flagship.
Yeah.
And what are you doing? Come on.
It is problematic, isn't it? I mean, the lack of balance is problematic. I mean, so much of what's happening in 40k is amazing. It's really incredible. But AOS needs a little bit more of the same. It needs a little bit more of the same energy going into it, you know?
Yeah,
I think it's fairly easy to plan out. You do a little bit of AOS, a little bit of 40k, a little bit of AOS, a little bit of 40k, a little bit of Necromunda, a little bit of AOS, a little bit. Just split it up like that. Don't just go 40k, explode everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, have a look at the Warhammer community site, right? And this is in no way a dig at the content that they put out, because the content the Warhammer community site has been fucking top notch.
Yeah.
Go on it and find the AOS to 40k Necromunda Warcry ratio.
Oh, it's like it's not it's not even a comparison. If you did like just 40k and AOS, it's not even a comparison.
But what I'm
If you
saying,
just
if you look at the ratio between AOS and Necromunda, AOS and Warcry, the ratio is ridiculous because there's nothing. There is
there's
no
nothing
no
there,
push.
is there? Yeah, that's it. There's no. There seems to be a lack of investment there, doesn't there?
That's a good way of putting it. And I'm personally, from my own point of view, I'm really upset by that because AOS was the thing that dragged me back. AOS was the thing that got me back into Warhammer after many years.
And so much good stuff has been done in AOS as well. So much good stuff has been done. So it's really sad to see that faltering a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I would really, I hope. I mean, fingers crossed they do something interesting. They do something a little bit revolutionary to bring it back.
What's getting more work, Lord of the Rings or AOS?
Lord of the Rings.
At the moment, Lord of the Rings.
I know.
And that's mental.
And that was the thing that they were going to drop.
Yeah, that is madness, isn't it? I mean, and it's the thing they should drop, isn't it? Let's face it,
Probably, yeah. I can see why they're not.
Yeah,
with the Rings of Power now, they kind of want to milk it for a bit more. But
I get it, but my God, I mean, like, it's the part that you skip, isn't it? The Lord of the Rings. For the most part, I think most people, when they come to the Lord of the Rings section of like White Dwarf, it's like,
I would imagine so. I'd be interested to see what the kind of demographic is, like how big of an audience the Lord of the Rings stuff actually holds still at this point.
Yeah, I can't imagine it's much.
But it must be big enough to keep it going. The amount of money it takes.
Well, like I say, I think they're keeping it around to milk the Rings of Power. Yeah. I think that's the idea.
Yeah. I think you probably.
But yeah, it must have some kind of amount of people to justify it.
Sustained for this long. Yeah. There's no doubt there. But surely it must be going the way of the dodo reasonably soon.
I don't think it is. I think I've got a feeling that they've kept the license for another couple of years.
Really,
because Lord of the Rings dropped off the banner at one point.
Mm-hmm.
So you had 40k, Horus Heresy popped up, AOS, Warcry Kill Team, and Lord of the Rings was noticeably absent. It'd gone, and it's popped back in now. Right. So they must have
popped back up. Right.
They must have done a deal or something to keep it going.
I mean, that's another thing that's of course happening. The Horus Heresy stuff.
Yeah.
Which looks fab. I mean, it's not I'm not that interested in like the miniatures myself, but I think it looks fab. I really do, and I'm very pleased for the people who like their 30k.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and there's a lot of people who are doing really good work and really fun things with it. I mean, I'm with you on that one. I think there is a part of me that's interested just to have the old beaky Marines.
No, yeah.
I would be doing it just to have the old beaky Marines. So
yeah, I'm more of a. I want to know what's happening now. I want what's going on in 40k.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if you told me 2 years ago that I'd be more excited about Necromunda than I would be about AOS, I'd be surprised.
With the Broken Realms in full swing as well. We thought it. We were so enthusiastic about all of that.
I mean, let's go back to that, back to that mindset. You've got which order did they come out in? What was the first one?
The first one was Morathai.
Morathai, Be'lakor, Teclis, Kragnos.
There was one between Morathai and Be'lakor, wasn't there?
Was there?
Was there?
Or was Teclis between them?
I can't remember.
It doesn't really matter the order. But you had these 4 books that all hit and were just excruciatingly good.
Every single one was standout. Every single one was excellent.
Well, I mean, I've said it many times before. Be'lakor, I think, is the best book Games Workshop have put out. The best campaign book they've ever put out. It is.
I would definitely go with that.
Fucking masterpiece.
Yeah.
And then just to go off the cliff like it did. Oh no, actually, that's the incorrect way of saying it. It didn't go off the cliff because the bus stopped. It stopped. They put the brakes on and stopped. And We were saying before about how it needs momentum, and I don't think you need a giant earth-shattering event in order to get that momentum back. What you need to do is start having things turn up in the Warhammer community. You need to start having things for people to talk about, because that's where the problem lies. No one's discussing anything because there's nothing to discuss. When the dragons came out, it was, here's the dragons, they're coming out soon.
Here's the dragons, there was nothing like, what's the significance of this? What does this mean?
There was no history of dragons in Warhammer thing.
How do they work? Like, what do they do in the realms? What is their function? You know,
the unfed. Like the dragons were just a product push rather than something to add to AOS.
That's
as a whole.
exactly what it felt like. Yeah,
feels like that. Yeah.
And
it's a shame.
But even if it had been, here's a history of dragons that Games Workshop has produced, it would have been something. Yeah, they did it with the squats, so why didn't you do it with the dragons? Because Games Workshop, Citadel Miniatures as a company, has created some of the best fucking dragons at that scale.
It's got a pedigree, doesn't it? It's got a history of dragons being in their games. So
I mean, you go back to the 1988 Dragons range, because they had an actual dragons catalogue at one point.
There were so many different species back then, weren't there? You know, they had like spined dragons and wyverns and all sorts of things back then.
Yeah, and then you hit the 90s, and you get the long wavy dragons and the wyverns and things.
Dragons, and
the Marauder miniature ones, all doing all sorts, which then led to the Talisman dragon, and there's so much there that they could have done with it, and it was just, here's some dragons, bye. Yeah. And as I say, try fucking finding them on the shelf. Go on. And I'm not even a huge fan of the dragons, but it's just a perfect way of explaining it.
Well, one of the big mistakes was excluding them to the Stormcast. That was a real mistake.
Yeah, no, I agree. The fact that you had two of them, one was perfect and noble, the other was disfigured and cruel. And, all right, so you got these two dragons that you make with the kits. What's the difference?
Yeah, historically as well. I mean, dragons have always been something you can take in almost every race,
Yeah, absolutely.
in different forms and different species and whatnot. And that's really sad. The fact that, like, for example, they're not part of Chaos anymore, which is really bizarre because in the original lore, they come from Chaos, right? They are the dragons are products of Chaos, right? I mean, I know they're not in AOS; they're something else. But even so, why isn't there that? That's why, why isn't that an option anymore?
Well, why is there not the, Dracothian Spawn book out there?
Right.
Why is there not the Sons of Behemat, but for Order?
For dragons, a dragon's race in AOS. Wow, amazing! That'd be great.
Yeah, because they're big. You don't need that many of them.
Exactly right. You could literally have a flight of dragons.
Exactly. And I would have a black and purple dragon as my main dragon. May the rocks crush his bones. Greyar is sexy. I don't care what anyone says. Anyway,
Greyar is that.
There's no answer to this one. I think but it's one that I really wanted to get on my soapbox about because...
Yeah, and it's one of those weird things where you kind of know why it's happening from a business perspective as well. It's because 40k sells, right? And that's it. That is the bottom line, isn't it?
But I mean,
at the moment, that's the only thing that they're pushing, so it almost feels like that's the only option.
Well, of course, that is what's going to sell if it's the only thing they push.
Yeah.
It's a bit of an Ouroboros, isn't it?
It's the problem that Warhammer Fantasy Battle had.
Yes.
It didn't have the same stepping stones as 40k did, so they pushed it less and less, which meant you got a diminishing return each fucking time.
Yeah, I mean, the glimmer of hope is that there's more potential in the mortal realms to do something interesting. The problem with the fantasy battle setting is that it just hit a wall.
Yeah.
That's it. There was only so much you could do with it, which is why they had to just destroy it at the end.
I still say they should have just made a post-apocalyptic old world. That would have been
wow, that would have been very interesting. Cripes.
Yeah, set like.
I mean, it still exists, doesn't it? It's still out there. The world itself is.
Malice is still there, just floating in the middle of Sigmar's living room.
Yeah, they could still do something with that if they
Well,
wanted to.
they're going to. It's called the Old World. But
Of course, it's the old world. Yeah, yeah.
but this is the
But I
thing.
mean, in terms of like
Is
integrating it,
yeah.
into AOS,
See, a real concern I've got is we know that the Old World's coming. Is that going to
Oh,
take
God.
further resources away from AOS? Because
That would upset me. That would upset me because, like, the mortal realms are just so much more interesting.
yeah,
It's hard to say because they've been talking about the Old World for what feels like 2 to 3 years and
That's true.
seemingly haven't done anything with it. They've just the last thing I remember them talking about with the Old World is something like a map. They showed a
Yeah.
map,
Yeah.
and there's like, well,
Nothing.
everyone who knows the Old World, we already know the map. Don't
Yeah,
tell
it's
us about the
true.
map. No one cares.
No one cares because we've seen it a million
Yeah.
times. Right?
But they had moved a few things about. That was the
A
interesting
few
thing
things have
about
A
changed.
few, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
which
nothing-
makes sense.
nothing major. But yeah,
Makes it
it's just one of those things that it really. The longer that this goes on, the more concerned I get.
Me too. Me too. Because it feels a bit forgotten, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. And I'm hoping that they've got some plan that when we get into next year, they're going to kickstart AOS up a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's like-
sincerely
I hope
hope so.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's fucking rumours kicking around that 10th edition 40k is coming, which I don't believe at all. Because
Isn't it too soon for 10th
It's
edition?
a
way
bit-
too
I-
soon. Way
I
too
would
soon.
maybe there's going to be like a 9.5, I would guess.
Well,
That I
that's...
could see, I guess.
That would be my guess, that there's an updated with all
Yes.
the FAQs attached.
Yeah, that would be my guess. Because quite a lot has changed, with the stuff they've introduced. I mean, like, have you seen the difference in, like, with regards to things like the command points and stratagems now?
Yeah.
Very different, and it changes the landscape of the game for the better, I might add. It really
yeah.
does. Because it makes them more scarce. You can't. It means you've really got to think about where you play your stratagems.
And of course, they've actually released a new points book in this month's White Dwarf for free because everything's changed that much that they have
Everything's changed. Yeah.
that they have to get the points out somehow.
It's true.
That's fine. I've got no issue whatsoever with them doing it that
No,
way.
sounds good.
But
Sounds good.
yeah, you really need to do something, GW, because right now AOS is feeling like the forgotten stepson, and it needs to be powered up a bit.
And after all that good work, after all that great work they've done, making it interesting, making it diverse and various and just cool, and it's just not there anymore. It's just stopped. So sad.
Yeah.
There's so
Anyhow.
much potential there.
So, because we've ended on a bit of a downer, and we need to bring the show to an end, I've got a little thing I'm going to do here.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Okay. Now, can somebody bring up a D100 on their computer, please? Because what we're going to do now is we're going to make something to finish off this show. We haven't done this in a while, and I don't think if you know or not, but I have the second Realm of Chaos book now.
Showing it off. Showing it off.
Go on then.
Right, so let me just find the page because like an idiot I closed the damn book and totally forgot where I put it. There we go. So, we're going to do this 3 times. The first one is we're going to make a reward. So if you'd like to roll the D100 for yourself and then one for Andy.
92 I've got here.
Okay, so you have Wrath of the God. The patron is disgusted by what he feels to be a feeble and insulting display. He is outraged
shit.
by your lack of enthusiasm and dismisses any degree of success as fortuitous or insignificant. Any models which have fallen casualty are dead. Survivors are returned home with D3 randomly generated chaos attributes each.
Ooh,
That's pretty rough.
that's a bad roll. That is.
So,
That's a bad roll.
so if you'd like to roll it for
God.
Andy, please. Or if Andy would like to
Okay.
roll it D100 if you've got one.
Could George roll for me, please?
Yeah, sure. I've got 58 for Andy.
58. The Ring of Battle. The patron is impressed by the champion's valour and decides to reward him appropriately. If the champion has fallen casualty, he survives, but is given one randomly generated chaos attribute as a reward. Any of his followers,
That's pretty good.
Any of his followers who have fallen casualty survive on a d6 roll of a 6. All followers receive one randomly generated chaos attribute each. The champion.
It literally just sounds like the opposite of what George just
I was going to say, it really does.
But the thing is, it's not done yet.
Oh.
The champion is rewarded with the special gift, a Ring of Battle. The Ring of Battle is a black finger ring bearing the sign of the power or the 8-arrowed sign of chaos. The ring cannot be taken off and automatically mutates into a new wearable form if the champion's hand mutates in some way. The wearer of this Ring of Battle may double his attacks, and any hits are resolved with a minimum strength of 5.
Bloody hell, that's very good. Wow.
That's a hell of a power you've got there, fella.
God, that's a very good
That's not
gift.
bad.
That is.
Yeah, thank you, George.
No, my pleasure. Okay, second one for me, yeah.
Okay, so 284.
I'm very worried about this now. 75.
281. 1 second. Just need to find the right page. 281. Sorry about this. Take me a couple of minutes. Because these pages are heavy. There we go. What did you get, 75?
75.
You've got a bestial face.
Okay.
Would you like to roll it for Andy?
God, they are not smiling on me today.
They are not.
They're really not. 33?
Andy, you're a Chaos
Yes.
Lord. 2 rolls of the retinue table acquire each of the following on a d6 roll of 4, 5, or 6. Chaos Armor, 1 magic level, d6 attributes, demon weapon. Also characteristic change. See main chart.
That's a lot. That's a lot in one roll.
That's
It
a
really is.
lot going on there. I mean, your character's turning out to be a right old champion of chaos.
Hey, it's not bad.
He's
Jeez.
going all right. He really is.
Okay, last one.
That's the one. Come on, 63.
I'm so sorry, George. You've got a silly walk.
Of course. Of course. Oh, dear me.
If you'd like to roll Andy's.
So they've reduced me to absolute absurdity.
They really have.
41. 41 for Andy.
Burning Body. Toughness +1, FP +3, extra strength 4 hit, enemy -2 to hit. Enemy striking a hit suffers a strength 2 hit on a d6 roll of 1 to 3. Lose all non-magical armor and weapons. So you get to keep your demon weapon.
Yeah, so Andy's character has become like a demigod at this point.
Yeah.
Did you say it was a burning body?
Yes, you have a body that's
Yes.
constantly flaming.
Oh,
Burning
wow.
flame.
Alright.
So that's really cool, right? Whereas I don't know what the hell my thing is. It's some wretched, almost spawn-like thing.
Yeah, all of your followers either died or left. You've got a silly walk and a cow face.
Wrath of the God, bestial face, silly walk. Yeah. Whereas Andy got Ring of Battle, which was not just that Ring of Battle, it was loads of good stuff.
Yeah.
Chaos Lord, which did all sorts of lovely stuff to his stats, and Burning Body, which makes him very difficult to hit and gives him loads of abilities.
So for this one, Andy is God.
Fab.
George is not.
Burling
Follow-
Bulatan is my name.
Follow the Chaos Powers for God knows how long, and this is what you get.
And what I'm going to do from next week onwards, next episode that we do, we're going to start something called the 60-second dungeon. And I hope you're
Okay.
ready.
Sounds fun.
Oh yeah, the 60-second dungeon should be a lot of fun. I wanted to do it this week, but I do have this lovely, lovely book. So, I didn't bring the other books. For my birthday, I got Rat Spike.
Ooh.
Which is a John Blanche, Ian Miller collaborated art book from the late 80s.
Yes.
And it is fucking gorgeous.
I can
It
imagine.
did look pretty from the images you showed me. Looked pretty nice.
What I've discovered from it, though, is that John Blanche is a man I'd like to sit and talk to. Ian Miller terrifies me.
Oh, really?
I will I'll have to take a photo at some point of the difference between their pages. John Blanche's pages are really nicely laid out, so you can get to see everything. Ian Miller's are just chaotic and crazy, and there's like other pictures that he's drawn on top of the pictures to make shadows of birds, and it's
Brilliant.
Does it look like Sam Neill's room in The Mouth of Madness with all the crosses on the wall?
It does look exactly like that, and there is a lot of blue. There is a
Oh,
lot.
All right, well,
Brilliant.
he might not be a real person. He might be written that way.
Yeah.
So, with all that being said, then we're going to draw this to a close because we've gone long tonight. George, where would you like people to find you if indeed they do wish to?
Oh, yes. They might or they might not. Depends on what their proclivities are. They could find me over at strangeplaygrounds.com, where you'll find links to purchase all of my published fiction. Most recently, 2 short story volumes, volumes 1 and 2 of Born in Blood, over at perpetualmotionmachinepublications.com. And I also had a short story published in the Book of Queer Saints, which you can purchase via Amazon. And that's doing great guns at the moment. We've been nominated for a Stonewall Diversity Award for that one, so fingers crossed. Yeah,
Oh, congrats.
Awesome.
fingers
Well
crossed.
done.
If we get that's a good one. That's a good one. If we can get that, that will, shoot us up in status a little bit, which is nice.
Absolutely.
You can find me over at Exaggerated Elegy channel on YouTube, where you'll find Let's Plays and discussion videos and reviews and just general witterings about all sorts of stuff. And if you fancy chatting to me, you can find me over at Twitter at Enigmatic Elegy.
Excellent stuff. And Andy, where can people find you if they wish to hunt you for your skin?
Well, it'd be hard. I'm a zombie. But you can
I was
find me
gonna
on.
say, you can't
I've
take
only
your skin. It's rotting. It's hard. It's almost gone.
I've only got bits left. You can find me on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch as Decayed Andy, as in a horrible decaying corpse, not the decade, not
Yes.
that one.
Not decade, Andy.
No,
Decayed,
decayed.
Andy.
It's an easy mistake. Yeah. You can find me on the Moonbase 2 podcast, which if you just go into Google and put in Moonbase 2 podcast, you'll probably find us. We're in lots of different places as well.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's probably good enough, I'd say. Other
Excellent.
places.
Excellent stuff. You can find
I would
me-
highly recommend Andy's Let's Plays of the FromSoft games. He's much, 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 much better at these games than I am.
Oh, thank you.
No, it's
yeah.
true. It's very true.
I just like to watch Andy from afar.
Oh my god.
Sorry, I misspoke there. I like to watch Andy from a farm.
A farm.
They just sit in a
Okay.
farm.
Oh.
It is far away. Like I have to get my binoculars out to watch him.
That's fine. That's okay. As long as it's nice and far away.
And I write notes and give them to Abby, and Abby writes notes and gives me them back. But you'll never see what the
Abby
notes
sends
say.
me mean messages saying that she's going to kill me.
Which is weird because Abby wants to go and visit George now because she's seen his brownies.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's
Yeah, they
all
did look
about-
good. I was jealous
It's
of
all
George.
about brownies. Yeah.
they were so-
They were good. They were good.
So nice, and I know they put me in hospital, but
Yeah, they've got baked white chocolate and caramel in them. They were very good.
get thee behind me, Satan.
Yeah, I know.
But
Right?
leave the brownies.
Leave the brownies behind, please.
No, brownies in front, you behind. Get out, Satan, but leave the food. This is the weirdest. Anyhow, as for myself, you can find me at adnickel.weebly.com, where I put up all of my artwork and other things that I've been trying to do. You can find me at thefluffenhammer.com, where I've been writing reviews on books and also writing all the articles and also making videos. And oh my god, why won't I die? And of course, these episodes, which will also be there because you are now listening to them there. Haha! Fooled you, you're now there. You're now part of the Fluffenhammer. You are now a fluffer. You can never leave. You're one of us now. And with that, good night. Bye!
There. Brill. That was great fun, guys.